Dude, pointed stick.
Pointed stick! Pointed stick!
Pointed stick.
Pointed stick.
Pointed stick?
Pointed stick!
Whoa, pointed stick.
That pointed stick.
Pointed stick!
Stick. We don't have any time for your trolling behavior on this channel. It just isn't welcome here. And so, good riddance to you.
What's up, JB? How you doing, man? I was kind of chilling. I was gonna wait for the all the background noise to end. Oh shit! At least I know this thing's working, man, because I'm hearing myself. Man, I don't know what to do for this. I wasn't ready for this. This October 1st fucking anniversary came up quick. To be honest with you, I didn't think I'd be still doing this at all at this point. Kind of figured I was over it. Been over it for a while, man, to be honest with you. Been over for a long time, dude, but I figure, this is the date. So I didn't see anybody else doing anything, so I figured might as well. And may just delete this. I don't know. Like I said, I don't really have a direction. Anything new? There ain't anything new coming out. Really going on. I got, I think, something like 4 FOIAs out there. 5 years out. Now I think they're about 3 years out. So that's going to be a while. So I don't know. October 1st, man. I could have drove out to Vegas. I thought about it, but man, I don't want to do that, man. I don't want to be in Vegas. I really don't want to be in Vegas right now. So, it's fair. Come on, pay some respects, do my thing. I could play a video with all the victims on it and stuff like that, but I don't think there's a reason for that at this point. I thought about, at one point, putting together a little montage of some of the people that were alive while they were alive. They're no longer around, but kind of thought, yeah, that might hit wrong. Might not be a good thing. It's kind of fucked up, though. It's hard to it's kind of hard to deal with that, because when you're looking at victims that ain't going to be around much longer, you're looking at them in videos like, well, it's kind of evidence, right? But at the same time, I don't know. There's ain't no easy way to do that. No easy way to put that together. That was something I did for a long time, so it was, it's kind of hard to make any sort of videos about stuff like that. But honestly, like the Levi Hancock thing, that was kind of the end of it for me. I don't know. It's hard to. It's gonna be hard to recover from that, man. They. Once the media got a hold of that and started roasting the LVMPD, I don't know, man. I just haven't. How you doing, man? How you doing? But yeah, after the media got a hold of that, it's tough. What was the venue's land used for today? I'm guessing, I don't know, probably nothing. They're probably doing their human chain thing around it right now, or at least they're about to. They're using it as a parking lot for Legion Stadium. I don't know if the Raiders are playing tonight or if anything's going on over there. The new stadium for baseball shit over there ain't built yet, so that ain't happening. Hockey's, I don't think, in season right now. So that's not happening. So I don't think it really use it for much other than when they got football games, stuff like that, and shuttle people over to the Allegiant Stadium across the freeway there. But yeah, I don't know. They're probably not using it for anything today. I mean, they may have had some ceremonies and stuff. I haven't looked online for all that. It's getting harder and harder to find that sort of thing. I know Truth Seeker found a bunch of that stuff the other day about what was going on over there. That was kind of cool, but you know, she might have a better idea what's actually happening over there physically. I don't know if anybody's actually over there. Ain't nobody really that I've seen doing anything. So I don't know. I have some friends that are probably there right now, but to be honest with you, I probably won't hear from them anytime soon. I probably will never find out whether they were there this year or not. Yeah, it's just a parking lot. It's a parking lot for Allegiant Stadium, and someday it'll be a parking lot for the A's stadium. I think, bro, with everything going on in the world right now, I mean, you know, everyone forgot what happened past 5 years ago. Anything before that, it's like it didn't happen. Yeah, but it's high dollar land. You can't do anything with, man. It's like an Indian graveyard, man. You can't do anything with it. What are you gonna do with that land? Ain't nobody gonna want to do concerts there. Ain't nobody gonna want to stay there, man, because everyone's gonna say it's haunted, and that's all it's gonna be. It's gonna be a haunted hotel. I mean, even if you put a casino there, it's gonna be a haunted casino. So, what are you gonna do, man? What you can do with that? Yeah, I don't know what they. I mean, they wanted to make it a training ground for the SWAT team, the LVMPD, which, I mean, it's kind of good real estate for that, but I mean, it's too high dollar for that, I would say. But like, I don't know, man. That didn't fall through. I don't think that that went down too well. But fucking Vegas, man. We've seen a couple of we haven't seen an actual. Well, last I checked, MGM owned that, or last I heard MGM still owned that. But MGM's been selling off properties, so I have no fucking idea anymore if they sold that or not. I doubt it. They probably can't sell that. There ain't nobody's gonna want to buy that shit. Nobody needs a parking lot, middle of Vegas Strip. Just saying. Says MGM. I'm like, yeah, that's what I figured, man. It's got to be hard to sell that thing, man, because I mean, that's basically, like I said, it's basically a graveyard at this point, man. It's kind of hard to sell that. But yeah, we haven't seen a movie, man. I mean, I don't know, man. We've seen a lot of mainstream slop. Seen a lot of stupid, stuff put out, the Nightline stuff, all that kind of shit, the documentary kind of shit. Seen a lot of that, but I don't know if we'll see a movie on that. I've seen books. I actually read one. It was horrible, but it was some guy who supposedly his daughter was at the festival, got out, and he wrote a fiction book about the concert. And it was just like, man, what are you doing? Like, what the fuck is that? In 2022, MGM Resorts sold the remaining 13 acres of the site to the 3 affiliated tribes. And in 2022, the MHA Nation had not announced its plans. I've come across Coop on YouTube. Yeah, I've seen Coop. I've seen that guy. He's been putting out a lot on this stuff right now. And I'm not impressed, man. I think it got about, I don't know, he had a video, his first one, and I got a little ways into it, and I just was like, nah, I'm done. I'm good with this guy. I don't need to watch his nonsense. I mean, whenever I see stuff like that, like new people coming into this and so forth, so on, I always kind of wonder, like, are they in that Discord talking to everybody? Is somebody in there that's trying to feed off of that? I mean, because there's been a couple lately. There's been him. There's been I can't remember who the other guy was, but he was actually at the event, the other one, and he was kind of, I forget what tangent he went off on, but once he started, oh yeah, he was talking about the motive. He was trying to put a motive on Paddock that, I mean, you know, he was saying it like he knew what was going on, and realistically, he was just kind of making it up. It's just a theory of his. Really. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I'm thinking a lot about like Hoover, man. You know, we've been talking a lot about him and whether he's actually legit a disinfo guy. I mean, I don't think so. You know, if anybody's a Fed, it's that guy. You know, with the since his freaking channel was named after a Fed. You know, but I don't think he actually is, because a Fed would not like bounce around like what he's doing, man. He seems like he's grifting more than anything. And, you know, because he went into the Trump assassination. I'm sure he's probably talked about the Charlie Kirk assassination now. All that sort of shit. But, you know, one thing I will say, man, like, yeah, I was kind of thinking, yeah, I kind of wrote something out today, and I'm not going to fucking read it, you know, because I don't know. I just didn't want to go there. But, you know, let's think about all the stuff people have gone through with this, you know, with the sniper and the palm trees, to the zip lines, to the, you know, crisis actors, to the, you know, rag dolls, to all that shit. And I was like, man, there's some crazy ass shit out there. I mean, I guess lack of information leads to stuff like that. As information start pouring out, you start to see less and less of, like, say, the zip line idea and the palm tree sniper idea and stuff like that. You start to see less and less of that. Yeah, the helicopter, though, I mean, that stayed, you know. He's not letting go of that, man. He'll never let go of that. And, you know, helicopter's just negative. It's a total negative, because you can't disprove something that has no evidence to it in the first place. So you can't disprove a negative, really. So the helicopter thing was always tough, you know, and it's the only thing you can say on something like that is that there's no evidence whatsoever that it actually happened that way. That he has zero evidence, you know. But, you know, it's something he's just saying, you know. And I know for a fact that Hoover knows what he's saying is not true. I know he's, you know, I mean, let's say the helicopter, right? You know, he can't prove it's a thing. Maybe he doesn't know that it's not true, but like a lot of the videos that were coming out that he was saying and fighting over, like the broken window, stuff like that, he knows this stuff's not true. Like a lot of stuff he knows isn't true. I mean, here's something, right? And this is something that's been bothering me lately a little bit with all this stuff, especially with what's happening in real time right now. The FBI took them 3 fucking years to bring out 3 pages. I think it was 3 years. To bring out 3 pages of the dude was stressed out. Stressed out. He's stressed out over money and shit. Don't worry about it. Trust us. And if it took, I mean, if I was in charge, and, you know, I know the guy in charge at the time was a dipshit. He was more worried about what Trump was doing than anything else. You know, and so, you know, probably didn't give a shit about Vegas. Unless there was a way for him to blame Trump for it, he just didn't give a shit. But if it took you 3 years to figure that shit out, and that's all you gave me is 3 pages in 3 years, you're fucking fired, man. You're fucking done, dude. I mean, that seems like somebody that had a homework assignment and did it in the hour before it was due. That was ridiculous. It was insane. Like you said, yeah, you're right. They have all the tools and do whatever the fuck they want. And that's what they came up with. They came up with a 3-page thing saying the dude was stressed out. Don't worry about it. Trust us, bro. We know what we're doing. And I mean, cell phone records, all that sort of stuff, they got his computers, it's fucking insane. So like, what the fuck, man? But if it takes you 3 years to write a 3-page report, you're fucking fired, man. You're done. That's ridiculous. That's insane. And I kind of was wondering, like, why would you wait 3 years to put some bullshit like that out when you probably did it? That's something you could have put out in year 1, pretty easily. Probably could have put that out in fucking 2 weeks. But made me wonder if they're like waiting on something. Like there was something out there that they were waiting to release this shit because they weren't sure if they were going to release it one way or release it the way they did. I don't know. Just thought I was having. Can't prove nothing. Never will be able to prove that. But unless Kash Patel is actually legit and does something. But I don't think so. Like I just, I don't have a lot of faith in really anybody in government. I just don't. I never really did. But, when I saw, so when people say, we've heard all kinds of dumb shit. And I mean, back in the day, I remember one guy, Danny Diesel. I remember him saying on a live stream that this had something to do with Hillary Clinton, right? And I remember tearing that video apart, dude. I remember going after that whole live stream and just making fun of all the bullshit they were saying. But he was saying something about, it was Hillary Clinton because they didn't think Trump would win or something. And this was already in the works and it was set up and all this sort of shit. And, I remember saying at that time, finish your homework and come back to me when you got a full thing, and you're ready. And, obviously, that fell off the vine. But, to me, it's always been ridiculous to expect or accept the fact that the powers in government, the FBI, CIA, CIA is kind of nebulous, but they're over there murdering people overseas. But like the CIA or the FBI would come into America and murder a bunch of people, right? Because if that falls back on you, I mean, that's massive. Now you had the JFK thing and all that sort of stuff. Everyone thinks CIA had something to do with that. And hold on. Well, okay. So they're murdering people here too. I mean, are they though? Good guys, bad guys. I mean, what are they doing? But at that point, 2017, 18, when all this was kind of at its height for me, I had a hard time believing that shit. I had a really hard time believing that shit. But now that I've seen, literally, I've seen a bunch of feds walking down the streets I grew up in, dressed like white supremacists trying to stir up shit, that makes me wonder, makes me think, maybe it is possible. It's possible. But so my head's kind of changing on that. It's kind of screwballing that, but there was a time when I said, there's no fucking way. That's ridiculous. That's insane. But if you know the law doesn't apply while involved in these events. Well, the thing is, like, if Paddock survived somehow, didn't kill himself, or somehow somebody was able to trace that back to the FBI, I mean, that's going to cause some serious fucking issues. And I think it's the same thing with like things like the JFK assassination, the MLK assassination. They don't want, that all tracing back definitively. Now we can have conspiracies and all that sort of stuff, and they can always write it off as plausible deniability. But if did you ever see the Alex Jones 9/11 protest where he proved there were feds on the ground? On the ground, 9/11 or January 6th? You talking about January 6th? Because, I mean, we just found out the feds were basically the feds were the entire insurrection on January 6th. Supposedly. If you want to call it an insurrection, I call it a freaking tour. But it was an unguided tour, an unwanted unguided tour, I guess. But I don't know how to describe it. But yeah, I don't find that as an insurrection. That was back in the day. Oh, okay. So you talked about 9/11, all the feds are. I mean, wasn't there a building over there where the feds worked out of? Didn't they work out of Building 7 or some shit like that? And like a CIA office in there or something? I mean, so I would expect a lot of feds to be around that area. I mean, just saying. I don't know. I don't know enough about it. I didn't dig down that 9/11 rabbit hole too much, man. I watched a lot of it back in the day, the Loose Change or whatever that thing was called. I forget. There was one of those documentaries, the conspiracy stuff and all that. But, I used to like conspiracies, man. I mean, I was kind of into that sort of thing, before Vegas, 9/11, I thought, yeah, I mean, that's interesting that, the plane hit the Pentagon, no video footage of it, and didn't seem to really fit the outline in the building. And people showed up all wearing same style boots or something, and he straight up called them out. And no, they were trying to cause protests to go sideways. Talk about 9/11? Oh, 9/11 protest. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, I see what you're saying, dude. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. Or I mean, just unraveled my head wrong. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, they had the little, what was it? White Lives Matter protest or some bullshit they were trying to do in DC after the whole BLM shit was imploding. And, yeah, these motherfuckers, yeah, picture of that. It's a bunch of fucking feds all hanging out, dressed like white supremacists. Well, not really dressed like them. They were, yeah, that's why it was easy to spot them, because they weren't dressed like the real thing. Usually the event, there's a drill going on for a similar incident with Patty. I never heard that. Yeah, me neither. I mean, I thought somebody said there was some sort of drill, but it was at the base, like the air base or some shit. I don't remember. Same exact thing to do with January 6th. And sorry, my Jupiter's hard to follow exactly. No, you wrote it right, dude. It's just I read it wrong. Nah, that's not on you. That's on me. But like, my head doesn't usually go there, man. It doesn't go to the implausible, I guess. I think 10 once called me pragmatic for, what it's worth. And I think he's kind of right. But, I learned to hate conspiracies throughout all this. Only thing was 4chan that said something, but didn't hear of any mass casualty event. Yeah, I didn't hear anything like that either. But I think there was also some advertising for crisis actors or something in some newspaper somewhere in the U.S. at that time. I don't know. But yeah, so I mean, throughout all this, man, I came into it with the conspiracy mind. I mean, JB can tell you, man, he remembers back in the day that I was kind of talking about all that stuff. And yeah, throughout all this, things we got more and more information, right? Which, kind of cleared my head up a little bit on things that I was questioning. And then, as things started to get more and more outlandish within, people saying nobody died, all that sort of stuff, then all of a sudden you get kind of jaded towards the nonsense. And, at some point, even stuff that is probable becomes nonsensical because you're looking at it through the lens of, everybody that believes in this is fucking nuts. Well, I mean, I'm still 3 years out from getting the crime scene photos, supposedly. And, and it's got to be the real deal, I'm guessing, because they're claiming that it's going to take 5 fucking years. And I forget how many photos they said it was. I think it was in the thousands or something. It's got to be because of the length of length of time there. But, they even sent me a letter back. I think it's a couple months ago. I got a letter back from them saying, "Do you still want this? Because it's been a while." And it's like, yeah, fucker, it's going to take you 5 years. No shit, it's been a while. It's going to be 5 fucking years I'm going to be waiting for this shit. And, but like, I think that was the chicken exit for me, man. They wanted to see if I would probably not answer the email, and then they didn't have to worry about it no more. It's probably the person that had to go through all those photos, man. It's probably like, oh, dude, I'm going to send him an email, dude. If you don't send it back, I don't have to give it to him. Yeah, I did. I sent him a response. Shit, I called him and I said, well, I got 2 of them on the same day. I think the other one, and I'm not sure because the FBI sucks the way they do their FOIA stuff, which I guess to be expected, right? Because I don't want to give you anything anyway. And I think the other one is his dad. I asked for all information they had on Bruce Paddock, or not Bruce. Yeah, it's Bruce, right? Yeah, Bingo Bruce or whatever the fuck his name is. Benjamin Paddock. And I think that was the other one where they asked do you still want this? Like, yeah, fucking shitheads. It'll take you 5 years to do it. Just do it. 100%. You have to look at what you have. Someone shot guns and there's a dead guy with guns. If there's nothing else, then that's where we are at. Snipers, etc. Where's proof? So like, yeah, I mean, yeah, conspiracies were fun, dude. It was tough with some of them because they're so frustrating, right? And that's where I got off, man. It's just like, it's too frustrating. Saying the same shit day in, day out, man. No, hell, the window's not broken. Oh, yeah? Well, what about the fucking wind? Oh, well, that was because of, A, B, and C. There's boning in the I've heard every damn excuse over that shit because I've argued that forever. But I've heard the chairs behind the The curtain. Well, why is there not an outline of the fucking chair and the curtain? Then there's, the curtain was propped open like that. What, with boning or something? Like, what the fuck you talking about? Propped open like that? How do you get a fucking curtain to do that? You know, unless you're gonna do steel boning like you do in women's outfits. You know, it's like you're fucking crazy, dude. Someone's gonna do that. They're gonna go to all that trouble, or why don't they just fucking leave the window just fucking flat? The curtain, just leave it flat then. Like, why bother setting that up? Like, why would you fake that? I don't understand why you would fake that. It makes no sense. Just leave it flat and say, yeah, fuck you. You don't know fucking science, people. Shut up. Trust us, bro. This is what happened. You know, but So it's easy to talk conspiracies about things that happened 50 years ago. Exactly. And it's a little more difficult than something that happened like 6 months ago, right? You know, because then I think it's too early for some of that. It was too early for some of that. Nowadays, I don't really care as much, but you know, for a while there, it was a little too early. I mean, you know, I guess, you know, and I don't think you have to be in this position, to be honest with you, but you know, I was in a position where I worked with a dude, like I worked with him last night, who'd been shot twice that night. And, you know, and so like, obviously to me, there's certain facts in this where, you know, people were getting murked, you know, people get shot, people get killed. And, you know, and I can even follow a lot of them through a lot of the body cam footage at this point. And so, you know, with that knowledge, when somebody comes up and says, oh yeah, nobody died, then you just like discount everything they're going to fucking say from then on out. You know, so, you know, even if they're going to be that clock that's, you know, right once a day, man, you're still going to just fucking ignore them because it, you know, they're fucking saying something completely fucking nonsensical and retarded. And to me, it was just a source of frustration because I'm like, dude, you're wrong. I know you're wrong. And this is fucking nonsensical. You may as well start saying aliens did it or some shit like that. I mean, you know, again, that would be a Hoover thing, right? Aliens, because it's a nonsensical something. It's a nonsensical negative. You know, it's something nobody's going to believe, but it's something that you can't prove didn't happen. Therefore, it did happen, which is the rationale that, you know, a lot of people go through with stuff like that. And I mean, it's human nature not to be wrong. Like, nobody wants to be wrong. You know, I guess personally, I never cared. I don't give a shit. You know, direct entry. Nah, dude, that's the Maui conspiracies. The freaking was it the Jewish lasers from space fucking burning down Maui for some reason so Oprah Winfrey can get a bigger house? Yeah, fuck crazy shit. Yeah, I think they tried to pull that shit on the Hollywood one too. You know, and say that's what was happening. But it's like, dude, I mean, this is California, dude. I live out here. There's wildfires every year, all over this state, just everywhere. And you know, our leadership is kind of inept, so it's like they just happen. And when they happen, they're usually pretty bad. And then they, you know, at least you know, Newsom, and then when what's her name was running for president, fucking, you know, Kamala or whatever the fuck, they both came out here and started blaming the wildfires on climate change. And it's like, no, bro, it's some dude threw a fucking cigarette out of his car. That's what it is. You're fucking crazy. It happens every fucking year, dude. This ain't fucking nothing new. It's fucking nuts. Clean up dead shit. Yeah, I mean, yeah, but you know, the sad thing about it is if you own a house and you have a hillside on your house, I have a friend that's got this problem every year. If you have a hillside on your house and you got brush on it, oh man, the fire department is going to come down and hammer your ass. They're going to start finding you. They're going to start giving you all kinds of shit and make you clean that shit up. But the government, as far as, the Bureau of Land Management land and all that sort of stuff, they don't give a shit. I don't fucking care. If it's government land, they ain't going to clean up shit, dude, because that's not what they use money for. Even though they designate a bunch of money to do exactly that, they don't use it on that. I don't know what they use it on, and I'm not the expert on, government financing, but, it's just, I know there's a big thing about that last time with the Palisades fire, which is crazy. I could see that from my house. I actually could see that stuff. Where I work is over there, kind of close to it, man. I mean, it smelled pretty bad for a couple days there. It's pretty tough. No ashtrays in cars. But try to get people to stop smoking, man. I guess. But although they did legalize pot, but now most people are vaping that stuff, so even that's not much of an issue. Yeah, I had to stop, man. It was starting to hurt a little bit, man. It's starting to give me problems. I got a vape here, man. I'm doing the vape thing. But I stopped smoking earlier this year. So just kind of had to. Sorry, I have problems breathing, doing all that shit. So, just felt like shit all the time. But, I mean, I was going to come on like 10:05, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I got nothing to do, man. I don't know what to do about this. I don't know what to do on this day. Vape, I don't know. It may be worse. It's probably worse just because kids are doing it, And, but I have no idea. I don't know, man. All the chemicals they put in cigarettes, I don't know. But you could be right. I could be wrong. I have no idea. Well, the only thing, left, like, honestly, like, you have to be like into conspiracy and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I don't hate you for the fucking marijuana. I don't hate you for smoking either, but is what it is. I think the marijuana is better for you than cigarettes. But the within all this, like within the context of Vegas and what we have here, I mean, I would, if you want to say that that's not Paddock, dude, I'll listen to you. It's like, okay, well, but it was somebody, right? And somebody shot from those fucking windows. And if you want to say Paddock is some CIA fucking, guy or some shit, and he somehow got away and it's some other body in that room, all right. But you can't say anybody got down that hallway without Campos seeing them. And if Campos saw him, do you think Campos is competent enough to keep that secret? I don't think he is. So what the fuck? What the fuck happened there? Now, if that's not Paddock, then who is it? And why did they throw Paddock down as a patsy, right? Because who is Paddock then? Like, who is he to be a patsy? I don't get it. Like, why'd you throw him under the bus if he actually didn't do it? Why not just, I don't know. I don't get it. And then, but I think the only thing there is left for me would be a motive, right? And figure out why, why this guy did this. I just saw him otherwise. Zip lines, yeah. Zip lines to palm trees, man. Fucking crazy. But like, yeah, I mean, but regardless, like realistically, like who gives a shit, right? About Paddock or somebody to me, somebody shot out those windows and shot at the people on the ground from those fucking windows. And it wasn't that hard of a thing to do. Anybody who's been there, been on the roof of that building, man, it's pretty fucking close, man. It don't look like the pictures. It's pretty fucking close. I don't know. He had what it was a 2-inch drop to the tanks, I think. If I remember right, it was like a 2-inch drop to the tanks. That means the drop rate to the people across the street was almost nil, almost nothing. So yeah, it wouldn't have been hard for him to do what he did. It was interesting to see recently. It was interesting to see the recent Bitsko interview where he said Campos was shot before the shooting had started. That was kind of interesting. And then he was kind of dunking on his own detectives saying, yeah, I had a better time on detectives because I had an Apple Watch and I could see my heartbeat, which basically he's saying that his detectives were incompetent, which is interesting. It's a weird way of saying it, but yeah, that's basically what he was saying. But, like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, it was stupid easy for him. I mean, they just let him up there with a bunch of guns and shit. Or they let him up with a bunch of big, heavy bags. They didn't fucking care to ask what was in them, And I don't think, a lot of people say, that's not possible. They had to know and all this sort of stuff. No, it didn't, dude. The only person that had to know was the guy carrying the bags up. And you think he's going to say something? You think he really gives a shit how much your bag weighs when he's just rolling it on a cart? You pay him $30 or whatever, and he's happy, dude. He don't give a shit. He didn't care what you just brought up. He ain't going to ask some questions. Now, if you started fucking picking them up and things are clanking around in there, then maybe. Well, that's what all towels are for, right? Towels would make sure that didn't happen. Just a bunch of big ass heavy bags. Yeah, I don't think he's gonna ask questions. And I don't think the hotel's gonna give a shit. I don't think the hotel has a policy where if a bag is over a certain weight or suspicious in any way, they have to report it. I don't think it's a thing. Now, if he went up there and all the guns were all fucking laid out in the room, then yeah, he might ask some questions. We might have some problems there. I think anybody would. Yeah, pre-COVID 20. He used a lot of those guns. Shit, I don't have the count right now. But yeah, it was he used quite a few of those guns. It was more than 3 or 4, for sure. I'd have to count them out, but I mean, he used almost half of them. He had 21 up there or something. Yeah, so as far as the room, like the hot sauce alarm and stuff like that, we stayed in a suite in the Mandalay Bay. I've told this story before, but it's 2022, I believe. I believe it's 2022. It was right after the lockdown, and they opened up before California did, so we ran out there, and we stayed in this suite, because they're desperate for people. So, my ex-girlfriend had enough points, so we got into a suite over there, and it was basically the same style, same kind of suite that Paddock had. Right, it was on the corner. I forget what floor it was, like the 16th or something. But we stayed up there, and we left the door open for it's like an hour and a half, I think. It was like an hour and a half. Like, nobody said shit, dude. I mean, to be honest with you, I didn't even realize I'd done it, and we were and that was during one of the live streams that I was doing, and Michelle was with me on that live stream. And yeah, we were in a room in Vegas. We were all just hanging out in a fucking room. And we after, because we just came back, I think, from lunch. And as we're doing the middle of that, you hear me in the middle of that conversation say, "Hey, check that out. Look." And what it was the doors open. I didn't realize like we didn't close it all the way. And after a good hour and a half of just chilling, nobody called. The phone didn't ring. Nothing. There's nothing. Yeah, I didn't have do not disturb sign up or nothing, dude. They just didn't care. Yeah, so I don't. Yeah, the hot sauce thing, I don't really get it. I don't know what that's about. Now, that was obviously, 5 years later. So, as during COVID, it's obviously during COVID where everyone's trying to avoid each other and shit. So, who knows? Hey, what's up, Matt? How you doing? Matt and Matt, both of you. But that was post COVID, right? So, you still had this don't touch anything, don't touch anybody, don't breathe on people, just all kinds of stupid shit going on. And, but yeah, we're up there and fucking door was left open, ajar, for an hour and like 20, I think it was an hour and 20 minutes, man. Nobody said shit. Nobody said anything. Yeah, 48 hours they come in. Well, I think what that is when they say they're going to come in mandatory every 48 hours, I think what that actually is the maids will. Like the maids will check your room every other day. So you can probably get away with putting the do not disturb sign up for a day. And the second day, they're going to come knock on your door and say housekeeping, and they're going to come walk in, whether you have that up or not. I think that's what that is. I don't know for sure. I don't know their policies all that well, but I would guess. Yeah, it's been 8 years, Matt. 8 years in what, 25 minutes, 20 minutes? Yeah, about 20 minutes. Yeah, it's going to be 8 years. 8 years of this shit, man. It's crazy. But like, as far as motive, man, that's one of those things. Like, I've heard, I know, like the one that I'm closest to, and I don't know, man, there's no evidence to prove one way or the other, but the only thing I can think of is that this motherfucker was selling guns or something, right? And I've heard people say he was trafficking children. It's like, I don't know about all that. I never looked at that Paradise Ranch stuff. I don't know about all that. I don't trust Jason Goodman, who was one of the guys that was championing that theory, but I just don't know enough about it. I don't know. I don't know what that's all about, where that even came from. I don't know. People try to explain it to me. I'm like, yeah, dude, it sounds pretty convoluted, but the way he had all those guns, all those different guns, man, all with different attachments, all looking completely different. I'm like, yeah, I could see this guy, having like a showroom of weaponry, and then, trafficking whatever kind of weaponry, people were looking for. Periscope. Never forget getting a Periscope notification for someone being live, and it was a dude at bus stop or bench. As it was going, oh, you saw the bus stop live on Periscope? Yeah. Poor Periscope, man. I miss Periscope. I used to watch Laura Loomer on Periscope all the time, man. I actually like Periscope. But yeah, like, so, I could see like the gun running thing being a thing. I mean, I can make that work in my head, but it's just there's not enough evidence, right? It's just something, there's evidence that lines up to make it work, but there's not evidence that proves it. So, there's a little bit of a difference there. And I mean, he could have been trafficking drugs, was it Jake Morphonios, man? I miss that guy, dude. I mean, I know he's still out there doing his anti-Israel stuff, but I'm not interested in that. So, but yeah, when he was doing Vegas, man, I liked him. And Morphonius had that crazy ass weird thing where it was, this dude sold a car to a guy that was a doctor that was now in prison for selling ketamine to people. And there's a ketamine cream too, which is like weird. It's like, does ketamine actually absorb through your pores? I don't understand that. I don't get, are people eating this shit? I mean, I don't understand how that works, but whatever. That was his thing. And it was interesting. I mean, we've had some interesting, channels, interesting people came up through this. I never saw myself doing anything on YouTube ever. Like I hardly used YouTube before this thing happened. I mean, I'd watch music videos on YouTube. That was it. That was the only thing I did. But I think what ended up happening with Vegas was there were links from was it Reddit? I think my ex-girlfriend was all over Reddit reading about it, and you're finding links to videos on YouTube, and of course Hoovers always came up, and that got me into like watching YouTube to find out, watching all the Hoovers videos to start with, which is funny. But I mean, like, I knew people that were there, so I had a little bit of interest originally because of that. And so, like, I called my one friend, and he was on his way home with his family and shit. And yeah, he was there. The next day I called him, and as he was driving home, I didn't get a chance to really talk to him much. He just said, "Yeah, it was fucking terrible, dude. People were getting shot all around us." I was like, "Oh, that sucks," and it kind of got me interested. And then my girlfriend starts talking to me about it, what happened. Actually, she told me about it that morning of what had happened. And that's how I found out about it originally. And then I said she was watching Reddit, and that's always kind of been her thing. And then I called this dude, found out, okay, fuck, dude, I know people over there. And he started telling me, oh, yeah, so-and-so was there, so-and-so. All these people, a bunch of people from work that all went together. And I'm like, holy shit, dude. And and then I started making phone calls to everybody. But then I started watching YouTube videos. Man, like I said, Hoover came up. And I remember, like, Hoover was funny because I remember watching one of his fucking videos, turning around to my ex-girlfriend, and I said, hey, they're saying this shit's crazy. They're saying that helicopters shot people that day. And she's like, who said that? And I'm like, you know what? That's a good fucking question. Like, who the fuck is this clown? Like, I don't know who the fuck this guy is. But I had that, it was said on the internet, so it must be true kind of fucking idea at the beginning. And, that didn't last long. But yeah, that was, I saw through Hoover shit pretty quickly because of that. And then I think it was a Waptec video. To be honest with you, she's gone, dude. She's gone. She's long gone. It's a long ass story too, man. I almost did a video on that the other day, dude. To be honest with you, I almost did a personal, like, venting fucking video about that. And I didn't. I was talked down, man. I think I was talking to Diane Abney the other day. And she talked me down, man. She's like, that's not a good idea, dude. You shouldn't throw your personal shit out there. It's like, yeah, you're probably right. That's probably a good idea. Was there a bomb report at the Bellagio? Nah, it's all good, dude. It's fine, dude. I said it's not that big of a deal, but yeah, it's not like that. It's not like emotional like that. It's just like it's kind of a what the fuck kind of thing. Um, so like, yeah, I don't remember a bomb report in Bellagio. It was in the Luxor, uh, and they had photos of it and stuff. And that was some stupid, and that was the early days of like self-driving cars and shit like that. And it was some electric car. Well, it was the early days of electrics, I believe. And so some electric car that got rear-ended and had some wires hanging out of it and looked kind of suspicious. But yeah, it was Luxor. And the Caesars, I don't know what you're talking about that. I don't know what you mean by that. Not sure about the Caesars, the machine guns. Because I know in a duffel bag. I don't know. I don't know about that unless you're talking about. Oh God, is it Morphonios was saying some shit about that at one point where he's saying that some dude. See, he was wrong about a lot of things, right? The first time I ever got stomped on a video was by KL, and I didn't know her at the time, but she fucking stomped on my nuts one day after a video because I said something that Jake Morphonios had said, and I took it as gospel. And I think it had to do with Campos or something, his timeline or something of that nature. And oh my God, dude, she fact checked the fuck out of me. She wrecked me in the comments. And that was my first thing with KL. And from then on out, every time I listened to Morphonios, I had that in the back of my head. It's like, dude, this fucking guy's wrong about things. No, I'm not saying you're I'm not saying you're wrong or you're fucking with me. I just think I don't remember the Caesars if that's where that was. But see, Morphonios had this thing where he was saying that he shot himself when he shot himself in the mouth or whatever. It was a gun called the Judge, I think. And it was I don't think that's actually what it was in the end. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. But I don't think that's the gun that he actually had when he was up in the room. But supposedly he was saying that he talked to a guy while he was out in Vegas. I think it's when he was walking the grounds, and he actually was able to get in there in the early days. And he's talking to some dude. That dude said that some dude tried to sell him a gun. So some rando that Jake Morphonios talked to came up to Jake Morphonios, and some guy that he didn't fucking know came up and told him, hey, some guy tried to sell me a gun. I don't even know what the timeline was on it because I don't remember the whole story. But, he's trying to say that some dude tried to sell him a gun. Then when he went to look at the gun, the guy opened up a bag in the back of a pickup truck, and it was a bunch of guns. And he was trying to somehow tie that back to Paddock. But, again, Jake Morphonios has gotten shit wrong, and when it's a game of telephone where some dude told Jake Morphonios something, I'm not too sure how much weight to put on that. I like Jake. I miss Jake. And I mean, for entertainment value, Jake was great. 10 was great. Who else? That dude from Louisiana was great. I mean, shit, even Brian Shields was all right for entertainment value. But Brian Shields was, I mean, damn. Like, some of the shit he came up with, you're just like, man, like, you were fucking reaching, bro. Like, reaching hard. Like, he would have, I remember he did a video. Somebody asked me to talk about one of his videos, so I did. It's probably still on the channel. I did a reaction to one of his shits. And he he was trying to show that there's this girl. Okay, here's a girl. You can see her. You know, obviously this is the girl, and then later here's the girl again. Oh, here's a girl again, and then here's these other people, and here's these other people saying, "I got to go to an ATM, or I got to find an ATM." And it's like, yeah, so what, dude? So what the fuck? And he's trying to say like, oh, well, you know, they had to go to an ATM because, you know, they were doing something nefarious. Like, bro, like they probably got locked out of their fucking room and now they're trying to find another hotel to stay in. I'm just like, I don't know, bro. Like maybe they left their wallet at the, well, no, they would have had their wallet, right? But maybe they just had no cash, dude. They're running around Vegas, no cash, and now they want to go get something to eat or something after the shooting. But maybe they're hungry, man. Maybe they didn't get a chance to eat while they're there. I don't fucking know. It's just, it was crazy. Yeah, sleep is always cool. You know. Yeah, I like Sleep Depth. Sleep Depth's funny. The funny thing about that guy is anytime you find anything, and I mean anything, on Paddock, like you, if you find the realtor that sold a house to Paddock and you figure out who that realtor is, you go on their Yelp page, you'll find Sleep Depth on there saying, hey, I want to talk to you. He's everywhere. That dude did a lot of work. That dude's crazy. Because you find stuff, and I've found stuff, like where was it that I saw him last? I think it was oh God, what was that? I think it was the property. Yeah, it was a property in Texas, and it was like they were trying to rent the rooms out, and their Sleep Depth saying, anybody who's rented a room here, I'd love to interview you, or anybody that had a room here before the year 2017, I'd love to talk to you. And it's like, oh my God, dude, they're fucking everywhere, man. Oh yeah, the owls. I mean, yeah. I don't know about those, man. I mean, obviously, yeah, they look like they're the cameras, dude. I buy that. But damn, dude. What do you think? FBI, police, Paddock? I mean, who do you think put the owls there? I would think, since we saw those after the fact, I would think that those owls were probably law enforcement of some kind. Or the FBI is really as bad as we think they are, and they didn't even realize what they were when some dude on YouTube realized exactly what they were. Oh, yeah, Charlton. Oh, yeah, Charlton was cool. Hey, everybody, it's me, Charlton. Yeah, Charlton was badass, man. I like Charlton. Now, there's a guy, Charles, what was his name? Charles something. He was down there in Louisiana. And, God, he was like entertainment. He was absolute entertainment. Yeah, sheetrock. Yeah, exactly. Down his fucking basement with a mask on. There's that dude. Yeah, his name was Charles something. I can't remember his whole name. But yeah, that guy was fucking classic, dude. Because that guy was saying, I remember one of the last videos that I saw of him, because he got yeeted right off YouTube. And he's now on Facebook doing workout videos and shit. Charles, God, what was his name? But he, I remember him one day saying, oh yeah, this is MK Ultra, because it happened on the X-Files. And because it happened on the X-Files, that means it could happen in real life. And I'm like, wow, dude. So you just did a whole life imitates art fucking argument. That's crazy. Charles, was it Watson or something? Something like that. But yeah. And Charlton, I can't remember who else was around back then. No. What's Enser's buddy's name? God, I can't remember that guy's name. That dude up in San Francisco. It's always at a Starbucks with his little laptop on, and all you see is silhouette of his head. Shake it, not Insert. It's Waptec, right? So Waptec, the interesting, the first time I ever saw a Waptec video, he was debunking Hoover. And I was cracking up, dude, because I'm like, yeah, I already thought this guy was full of shit, and then I watched Waptec just destroy him on one of his videos. I'm like, oh god, yeah, he's totally full of shit. Yeah, dude. I mean, we had all kinds of dudes, man. Like I remember American Everyman, dude, and I mean, it's this channel like most people I don't think know of. You know, because I've asked people like about him, and the only person that actually seemed to know who he was 10, right? Because that was 10's gig, right? 10 would shout out everybody. So if you had a channel, eventually 10 was going to mention your shit, which, yeah, definitely pissed me off at one point. Was not Charlton? No, this was Charles Watkins or Watson, or was Charles something. Oh, Farmers for Truth. Oh my god, that fucking guy. Like he went off the fucking deep end. I don't know what the fuck happened to him. He yeah, I don't know where Charlton was from. I just know I'm thinking Charles Watson, I think is his name. I think it was Charles Watson or something. He was the Louisiana guy with the southern accent. Carlton. I don't know who Carlton is. Charlton. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where he's from. Matt seems to think he's from New York, but I don't know. But yeah, so like, you know, 10 was fucking badass, man. 10 was early, very early. And then he was the only other guy I remember that knew that American Everyman, dude. And the only reason I knew that channel was because one day I was going down my list of channels that I was sub to on the on one of my other accounts, not the Point and Stick account. Oh, the bull analysis, that was God, what's his name? Oh God, what was his name, dude? I could have told you 10 minutes ago. Health Ranger. You're talking about the Health Ranger, the original bullet analysis guy. The guy that's like, yeah, FBI, if you need my help, I can help you. It's like, yeah, well, I think your shit was all wrong, bro. So yeah, I don't think the FBI needs your help. But yeah, before all the 10 drama, you know, that shit he was pretty good. I liked him back when he was just a set of hands in front of a television, or whatever the fuck he used. It was like I think it was an antenna. He like pulled the antenna off a car or some shit, and he was using that as a pointer for his television. That was pretty cool. And then but American Everyman, I only knew about that because I was scrolling down my old channels, and it was a dead channel, and it was one of the subs that I had. And yeah, eventually I deleted it. I should have kept it on there, but yeah, I always remember about that. Yeah, I don't remember who did the cereal box. I don't remember who did that. I don't remember who did that. But yeah, before all the drama, man, shit was great, dude. There was all kinds of people. I remember there was a Officer UFO 1, I think was his name, of his channel. He's now like doing League of Legends or some shit, streaming like video games and stuff. I think he did some Red Dead Redemption at one point. Was that 10 that did cereal box? I thought it was someone else. Actually, it wasn't a cereal. It was like a milk carton, wasn't it? Originally. So I thought it was like somebody on like a train or some shit, or a bus or something showing that. I don't remember. That would have been a good video to keep too, man. That cereal or whatever that was. It could have been a cereal box. I could be wrong, but I thought it was like a milk carton. It was so long ago. I don't fucking remember. My memory sucks. Which definitely makes this shit difficult, right? Having a shit memory and running everything off memory, because I don't read this stuff every day. You know, I don't read it hardly at all anymore. You know, everything I do, I pretty much do online. So, you know, last time you saw me read witness statements, that's the last time I read witness statements. Last time you saw me read the final report, well, it's not. I can't say that because I've gone through that a couple times, bits and pieces within the Discord. It's because you quit. No, it ain't. It ain't that, man. I'm getting that Biden syndrome, man. I'm getting old. The older I get, the more I forget. But to be honest with you, I've had a bad memory my whole life, and it was more, I think, had a lot more to do with drinking alcohol. By the way, it's 10:05. It's 10:06 now. But yeah, I got 10:05 on my watch. All right, and there's your moment of silence. But yeah, I'm just rambling. I'm just rambling about dumb shit. I'll tell you this, man, like I could see the FBI having some sort of involvement or being involved in a cover-up within this. After everything's been going on the last couple of years and knowing now what was going on then, you know, with all the Russia collusion, all this bullshit that was happening under that administration of the FBI. Because I believe what Brennan or whatever the fuck, whoever the fuck it was in charge at the time, I believe that was the guy that did the Russia collusion back then also. Could be wrong, but I think that's what that was. And so knowing how bullshit that was and how bullshit this guy was, yeah, I could see them, you know, having some sort of something, right? I mean, either involved in cover up or involved in actually what happened, who knows? But, you know, being a serial debunker of people's nonsense, you know, now it's kind of coming to me where it's like, yeah, that might be possible. That might very well be possible. Because that was such a bullshit organization back then. I don't know what they did. It's always funny to me. Someone will go and, I mean, it's not funny, but it's a bad way to term it. But, you know, somebody will go and do something really fucked up, shoot up a school or whatever it happens to be, dude. And the FBI will be like, oh, yeah, we knew about that guy. Oh, yeah, we've had that guy. We've known about that guy for the last 5 years, dude. We just, you know, didn't do anything about it. Didn't care. You know, we have more important things to do because that evil Trump is out there. We had to deal with him. It's like, man, come on. I don't get it. I don't even know where Aaron Rouse is these days, man, because I don't think he's not in charge of the FBI and over there in Vegas anymore, I don't believe. You know, yeah. Yeah, 10-4, man. He's still shooting for another. I mean, think about it, dude. That's crazy just thinking about that. That's just crazy. I mean, thinking about every moment that goes by and just having bullets riddling down on you this whole fucking time. From a matter of perspective, right? So for another 5 minutes, this motherfucker could be shooting at you. That's fucking nuts. That's crazy. I mean, you know, at this point, what do we got? We got people starting to run now. I don't know what volley would be on at this point. It'd be on what, volley fucking 4? Something like that. It's fucking crazy. It's still another 5 minutes to go, man. Yeah, it's a crazy fucking thing, man. Four more minutes. That's nuts, dude. That is just nuts. To be under fire for that amount of time, not in a war zone, just hanging out at a country concert. You know, and I've never really been to the Healing Garden. I'll tell that story, man. I went once, and I said I may cut this video. I may kill this video afterwards. I probably will. I don't think I'll leave this up because I really got nothing to say, dude. This isn't anything groundbreaking. I'm not saying anything that hasn't been said a million times, but the this is something I've never really told. We I went to the Healing Garden one day, and I'll just say, man, I went with LVSA, man. We went to the Healing Garden, and this is at a time when I really didn't want anything to do with Eddie whatsoever, at all, and wasn't too happy with him. And so we're chilling at the Healing Garden for about 5 minutes, maybe at the most. We just walked in. I walked down that first little row of stuff. I was looking at some of the pictures. All of a sudden, we hear a motorcycle. And we hear a fucking motorcycle fucking cranking up. And he tells me, hey, man, that's yeah, you should go to Vegas, man, for sure. But yeah, so we hear the motorcycle, man, and he's like, that's Eddie. That's Eddie, man. Eddie rides a fucking, Harley or whatever the fuck, I think, around town. And I was like, oh, shit. Let's get the fuck out of here. Fuck this. And he walks in the opposite entrance of where we came in. And of course, he finds the fucking, hot mom, and he starts fucking hugging all over her and shit like that. And I'm like, yep, that's our cue, man. Let's get the fuck out of here. And yeah, just walked out, left. So I never actually got to spend any time there at all whatsoever. But yeah, I mean, for Vegas, it's like, Vegas is cool, dude. It's just getting expensive. The prices are going up. By the way, he's still shooting. The prices are going up a lot. And it's not cheap like it used to be. Because it used to be really good, man. You go there for, $70, $80. You get a room for a night, man. Yeah, I don't know if I'd really want to go solo, but I mean, you could. It's no big deal. You just gotta be careful, man. Because the Strip is not where it's at anymore. Like, you don't want to go to the Strip. There's nothing to do there. The Strip is dead. Like, unless you're just gonna gamble, I guess. If that's all you're there to do and you just want to gamble, that's cool. If you want to see all the stuff from this, the Vegas shooting stuff, I mean, most of it's gone, dude. It's going to look different because, Tropicana's gone completely. It's done. The site where the venue was is now just a parking lot. It's just asphalt lines. Yeah, well, that's a problem. So, yeah, Vegas. Okay, so here's what I think happened in Vegas. Vegas got fucked, right? Vegas fucked themselves, actually, but they did get fucked because COVID fucked them. And all right, where we go, 10:15, man. So shooting's just gonna end now. And it's gonna be another almost an hour before they get into the room. So the thing with Vegas, and I think what happened with Vegas is COVID happened, right? So during COVID, of course, they're shut down. Everyone's shut down and all that sort of bullshit. And they tried a couple times to open back up, and they kept getting shut back down. Vegas really did a pretty good job of saying, yeah, fuck you, we're staying open. And they kept getting shut back down. because the governor's chicken shit, and he was, Sisolak was kind of a bitch to Newsom. But anyway, after COVID, right, everyone got those checks, man. Everyone got these fucking checks, dude. So after COVID, and of course, Southern California, that's the vacation spot for Vegas. Vegas is a vacation spot for Southern California. So once COVID was over and Vegas opened up, California was still fucked. And so everybody ran over to Vegas. So they started getting all these people that didn't know how to get along with each other, right? Because they live on different sides of Los Angeles or whatever it happens to be, man. And they started having problems. They started having, gunshots go off in parking garages, fights breaking out inside of casinos, just all kinds of fucking shit happening because everyone was taking their checks over there and they're just, gambling away and partying like rock stars, man, because they didn't give a shit. Nobody in California had to pay their rent or anything. You couldn't evict anybody. They didn't give a shit. They were taking these checks, which was supposed to be for them to survive, and they were just blowing them. And which also helped out with the homeless crisis that's going on down here right now. So, all these people were able to go over there and, get cheap hotels and party like rock stars and shit in Vegas. And next thing you know, they're starting to have problems, right? Starting to have all these just fights break out. And it was bad, dude. It was really bad because Vegas isn't normally like that. Like Vegas is, before that, it was always kind of safe to walk around on the strip because the cops usually don't fuck around when it comes to the strip. And the locals know the cops don't fuck around when it comes to strip. It's too much money there. And but for a while there, man, it's started to become the Wild Wild West, dude. And and so what they had to do is they had to start raising prices to price out some of the people, and we'll just say the lower class people who were causing problems. They were pricing them out, and eventually they priced out everybody, and even someone like me, I used to go there all the damn time, and I wouldn't go there now, dude, because yeah, I'll go there and I'll spend $170 on a fucking room, dude. I'll do that. But when you start charging me $380 for that room, oh hell no. Even though I may go downstairs and blow $1,000 in a fucking night, I don't care, dude. I ain't spending $380 on your fucking rooms. You should be giving those to me for free and shit, man. Because if you want me to come over there and gamble money in your casino and just give you fucking money, yeah, I don't agree with that, man. So I kind of see where it's going, dude. And they price them all out, dude. So now if you look at Vegas, like Fremont Street's where it's at. So like if you go to Vegas like right now, there ain't no reason to be downtown, or on the strip. There's no reason to be on the strip, dude. It's all downtown, dude. Like you go downtown, you can party your ass off. But you go on the strip, it's like there ain't nobody there. The only thing to do there is gamble. Last time I went there, the machines were tight as shit, dude. So you weren't winning anything. And it just wasn't worth it. It wasn't even fun, dude. It's like I was on Fremont Street too, man. I mean, I stayed on the strip, but I went to Fremont Street. And dude, couldn't win shit, dude. It's like, you don't have to like be a winner every time, but like you at least expect the thing to pay out enough to let you play for a little while. It's like a fucking arcade game, right? Like adult arcade. And as long as you can play the damn game for a while, on, whatever you happen to have in your pocket, then you're good, dude. You get a half hour entertainment, hour entertainment out of $100, whatever it happens to be, you're good, But when you sit there and put that $100 in and that fucking thing steals that shit from you in 10 minutes, you're just like, oh hell no, this ain't worth shit, dude. This sucks. So why would I do that? Now, Vegas is kind of cool because Vegas have museums, If you're going to go for if you're going to go with like what do you call it, for the shooting stuff, for to kind of see what all happened there. You still kind of can, but I would go pretty fucking quick, man, because eventually they're going to build that A's stadium and shit ain't going to be the same no more. And who knows what they're going to do with that parking lot. They may eat up those streets. Like, I can't imagine them leaving Giles Street, is it? I think it's Giles Street. That little intersection right there, a street that cuts off the Tropicana from the parking lot. I can't see them leaving that street intact because there's no reason to have that street. If, you know, I mean, I guess if you got to get into the back of the new stadium, yeah, but like, why not just swallow up that street and make that parking lot part of the stadium? I don't get it. So, you know, as far as I'm concerned, like it's a, you know, the time to see what happened with the shooting is kind of past, but you can still kind of get an idea of distances and stuff like that if you go out there. And, you know, if you're going to do it, you know, and you're going to do it once, I would say go to the Mandalay Bay, schedule a dinner at the, what's that called up there? Shit, I can't remember. It's the House of Blues, but it's not the one downstairs. It's the one up top. It's not the Constellation Room. I don't think. Maybe it is. Well, whatever that place is up at the top where they have a what do you call it up there? You can eat up there. Yeah, see if you're gonna go there and check things out, dude, I go pretty quick. Because once they build that A stadium, it's just my understanding. You know, I would think that they would eat up that Giles Street and close that street down and make that part of the stadium along with the old Route 91 area that's now a parking lot and just take that parking lot. But I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't know what the plans are for that, but I can't see them because it's a dead spot. There's nothing there. So I don't see the point in having a street that cuts just a parking lot off from A Stadium. It's just weird. There's no reason to have that street there, really. But who knows? I could be way off. I could be wrong. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I could be wrong about that. But I'm trying to think because Tropicana is over there. You know what? I could be wrong. No, Tropicana's on the other side of the whatever street that is. What's on the other side of Giles? Right? Oh, that's where the apartments are over there. So yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, they'll still be there. Yeah, it'll still be there. No, I'm completely wrong, dude, because I'm turned around. I'm thinking Tropicana is over on the other side of yeah, I think it's Giles because I think Reno's the other street that crosses that. So yeah, I'm thinking the wrong side there. So yeah, it'll probably still be there. But if you go look, man, I mean, yeah, dude, go to the Mandalay Bay, get dinner reservations, lunch reservations even, because it's probably cheaper at lunchtime, up at the top floor, which I believe, it might be the Constellation Room. I can't remember what it's called up there. I know it's in the videos, man, because they go up there. That's like one of the cops went up there first thing. One of the SWAT guys. And but you go up there and you can actually, they have like a patio area and they have a catwalk and you can look down on the venue because it's the only way, that's the only way it faces. I believe there's a patio on the other side too, but I haven't really ventured over there. But there's a patio on the side of the venue, so you can look down on the venue. And the only reason I say to do that is because you will realize how fucking close it is. It is so, I mean, it's so crazy that like in the pictures, the venue looks so far away. This guy looked like a freaking Navy sniper and shit, you know? But nah, dude, it's like really actually kind of close. Foundation Room. There you go. There you go. You got it. Yeah, go get lunch reservations, the Foundation Room. I think you do have to make reservations for that. But get reservations, the Foundation Room. Go sit on the patio. Go look over. Look at the venue, which is now just a parking lot, and you will realize how freaking close that is. How big it looks, you know, right in front of you. It's actually just insane. And you're on the roof, so you're higher than Paddock was. It's absolutely fucking insane, dude. It makes it kind of, for all the people that say like, oh, he had to be a really good shot. No, fuck no, he didn't. Like, not at all, dude. It's like right there. And I mean, considering how big that venue is, it's right fucking there in your face. And it would not take much skill at all. So like, that's what I would do. And then you can go walk around, but brother, I would not go there in summertime, because if it gets up to like 115 out there on some days, and you do not want to be outside in that shit. So, check the weather, go there when the weather's decent, when the temperatures aren't crazy, because I think it does get really fucking cold there too. Well, I think the bullet math had to do more with the tanks, because the tanks were a little bit further than the actual venue itself. And I believe the tanks weren't even that big of a math problem, because I believe it was like a 2-inch drop, right? So a 2-inch drop is not much, or something of that nature. I don't remember exactly the math on that. It was based off of Mills, which I didn't really know much about Mills when I read that note. I never really understood the pink note until I don't even know how to say his name anymore, dude, because he's one of the guys that talks to me on here. He's one of the guys that always comments on my videos, and always says aloha every time. But his name is like 00700 something. It's like, oh my god. He explained it to me one day. He said, yeah, this is exactly what that note says. And I was like, holy shit, that all makes sense now. Because it never made sense to me before that. But yeah, it was the drop rate, I believe, on the tanks. I believe the bullet drops was for the tanks, not for the actual crowd itself, because he didn't need it for the crowd across the street at all. Yeah, that just wouldn't be a thing. But like, I would do that, and then go walk out. You can walk out the valet, upper valet, lower valet. It doesn't really matter too much. And then go walk out to the street. You can see the bus stop right there. So you can also go where Beeston and Featherstone came up through the fountains. And those fountains are where the people from the bus stop were originally hanging out, I assume, because they mentioned they were over by the waterfalls, which there's tiny waterfalls, small waterfalls over where those that little area right there. And it's a little entrance right there that leads to the street, which no one ever goes to, because there's no reason to walk to the Mandalay Bay, because there's nothing near the Mandalay Bay except for, the Route 91 across the street and then the Luxor next door. But if you're going to go to Luxor, you can walk straight from the Mandalay Bay indoors to the Luxor. So there's never a reason to go onto the street, like, at all. There's no reason to go to that street. It's really strange. Because, the valet and the park, the South Park is behind the casino. The valet, you drive up and drop your car off. You go right into the doors. But if you go across that valet, away from the casino, that's where that front little entrance is that we see on cameras and stuff like that. But there's like there's like waterfalls and stuff in there. I don't know. It's kind of trippy. And to New York also indoors. Yeah, you can walk all over. You don't have to go outside very much anymore over there. And you got the tram too, I don't think the tram hits the Mandalay Bay, but it hits the Luxor, I think. I don't remember, man. I forget where I got on that damn tram. I think it does hit Mandalay Bay, doesn't it? No, it hits Excalibur, I believe. I think it's Excalibur. Yeah, but I don't know if it hits Mandalay Bay, and if it does, I don't know where the entrance is in Mandalay Bay for that thing, but it might. It actually might, because I only took the tram once, but yeah, Excalibur is just ghetto now. Excalibur's falling apart, but it's like Excalibur was the upgrade to Circus Circus, and Circus is It's something else, dude. My parents used to take me to Circus when I was a kid, man. I'm an old man, so this is a long ass time ago. And Circus was fairly decent. And now, man, Circus is like a dirty movie theater that hasn't been cleaned ever. And you walk around that thing, your feet are sticking to the floor, man. If you got sandals or something on, forget about it, dude. You're gonna leave those behind, man, because they're gonna stick to that damn floor. It's crazy. You got people with their kids just like sitting up against the walls like it's a theme park or some shit. It's just crazy. Place fucking nuts, man. It's pretty fucking trashed and yeah, it's not. Yeah, I mean they got a theme park in the back, which is kind of good. That's kind of clean because it's new, so that's fairly decent. But I mean, I'm not a kid, so that doesn't do much for me. But I did go walk through there, and but yeah, Excalibur is starting to get there. Excalibur, we stayed there in April. And I stayed at the Excalibur in April. And damn, dude. That one's kind of going downhill too. I guess anytime you make a place that's more geared towards children, you're going to have a lot of things spilled on the floor. You're going to have a lot of accidents, a lot of problems, shit. So yeah, it was not the best experience, man. If I go to Vegas now, I go to Fremont Street, I go to downtown, and I like to stay at the Four Queens, and I get a suite at the Four Queens. Since Four Queens doesn't have what do you call it? What do they call the fees? Resort fees. Since they don't have resort fees, it's cheaper to stay there. But at the same time, the rooms are still expensive, right? So you could go there and write it off as well. At least I don't have to pay fucking resort fees. So, it is still kind of cheaper than staying anywhere else. And so you get a suite there. Suites are a little more expensive, but, it kind of all equals out in the wash. So I usually stay at the Four Queens. I don't know, like they don't have to do resort fees because they don't have a pool. If you stay there and you want to use a pool, I think you got to go over to the Binions, if I remember right, and you can use their pool. But I'm too old to be hanging out at pools, man. And I ain't got the body for that shit, so I ain't gonna do it. But that's kind of the deal with that. I know a lot of people like to hang out at the it's one next to a Gold Nugget. I heard that's kind of a cool place to hang out too and stay. But yeah, usually like if you're gonna go to Vegas for like the shooting stuff, like you could probably stay at any of those hotels down there. The Luxor, the Excalibur, the New York, any of those MGM casinos down there, and I would have said the Tropicana, but of course Tropicana's gone now. You can say the Mandalay Bay, but the Mandalay Bay I think is a little more expensive than the rest of them. I think that's still supposed to be their premier hotel. So, but you can stay at any of those and pretty much, get to the Mandalay Bay from there and walk around. And then what you could do is you could go to the Mandalay Bay. I said go up to the Foundation Room, have a meal up there, check out the fucking view, because that'll wake you up a little bit to how actually kind of easy this was for him to actually land the shots down into the crowd. And then and then you go walk across the street, go walk to the bus stop, see that in real time, see where those people were, what their route was, which I mean, it doesn't really matter that much, but you still get an idea. You'll see the Featherstone Beeson entrance, where they came in, how they came in. Shark Reef is on the other side, so fuck all that, man, unless you really want to go down there. There's really nothing there. Then you go walk across the street to the venue, and they got a fence around it. But like you go walk around it, and I mean, if they haven't fucked with it at all, they got a fence around it, and it's got a bunch of holes in it and stuff, which people are conspiring that had something to do with it, but I don't think it does. I think it's just probably people shooting pellet guns through it or something. Who knows? And then you can go. What was it? According to Joe, there's another channel for the old school. According to Joe, I remember when he went there, he was looking at one of the light posts, and you could see what looked like a bullet hole in the light post, but it was coming from the wrong direction. And you could go see stuff like that. It's still there. But otherwise, yeah, I don't think there's much as far as battle damage and stuff like that you're going to see out there. You can go to the back gate of I think it's gate 6 or 5. I think it's gate 5, maybe 4, but I think it's 5. And you go to gate 5, and there's a bunch of keychains hanging off of that thing with little notes to, people that died or whatever, just whatever people want to leave there and stuff. It's kind of like a little memorial over there. And they just hung these things off of a chain that's back there. So you go see stuff like that. And then you can go walk across the field where all the people were parked, where Melissa Ramirez ran across, dragged across, whatever case happens to be there. That to me is yet to be determined. And then, and then the little memorial that, Turber and, what's his name put up, Eddie put up over there is sitting over there across the street there. But you can get a layout. You get an idea of how everything was situated and, where they didn't run very far, so when you're seeing some of the body cams at different places, it's like, yeah, they didn't run very far. Like nobody really ran very far. Garage door and back of the security company, that was real. Yeah. There's a the Lumer Goma found or seen. So back of the security company. Oh, that I don't know. I think because whatever that security company was, I forget what they were called, SSC or something like that. I forget. It's been so long. That security company, I believe their building was over there right next to where the Melissa Ramirez Memorial is. And I believe that building that was their building, I think might have been one of the ones that was broken into that night, where people were just basically bashed out the window and hid inside. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you can go see that too. That's out there. It's interesting because LVSA pointed this out to me one year that because we were over there hanging out one day, walking around there, and right across from where the Melissa Ramirez thing is, memorial, whatever you want to call that thing, right across from where that is, there is a garage, and it's just a series of garages, those businesses there, and there's a garage door there with a fucking looks like a bullet hole. It's got to be a bullet hole, man, and it's at an angle. Like there's a couple of looks like there's a couple of marks on that garage door that were bullets, right? Looks like there was some shooting going on there at some point, and they do kind of line up with Mandalay Bay, right? So he was cracking me up. He was he always wanted to go over there and somehow dig that fucking piece of bullet out, but it's pretty deep in there, so yeah, you'd have to actually probably saw the fucker out. But yeah, there's it looked like one of the bullets, a bullet, not saying it's from that night, but I'm guessing it is, hit that garage door and then wedged itself into the framing of the garage, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, that's really there. That's all there. But yeah, you can go walk around that. You can, walk up the street there and see all the because if I remember right, I'm trying to, like I said, I'm kind of screwed up in my head as far as directions here. But basically you walk out Mandalay Bay, you walk out the entrance, you walk over to the venue, which is across the street there. It's Caddy Corner. And then you walk to the other side of the venue. And then on the other side of that venue is that big dirt lot, which is parking lot, which was parking lot that night. And then you walk across that parking lot, directly across that parking lot. If you walk around the parking lot, you get to the if you walk around the parking lot between the parking lot and the venue itself, then you end up on the other side there where the church is. But From there, you just walk across the parking lot or park across the dirt lot there, and you end up the Melissa Ramirez site. Right? It's not a long walk. It's not short necessarily, but it's not very long. And and then from there you could walk up that street or drive up that street even to where we have I don't know how to explain it because it's over there by the Tropicana, and it's where you had all the cops yelling at everybody to go to Hooters or go to the Tropicana. I think they were saying go to Hooters at that point. And you had the cop that was a young lieutenant, very young looking lieutenant, and he was saying, he was screaming for an ambulance to show up, and that's why I was kind of ranting and raving about the other day on that video. But he's screaming for an ambulance to come, and they never came, until like a half hour later. And there were a couple of people died there. That's the Desert Rose Apartments or whatever, the apartments where we actually had a couple people who died there, where Melissa Ramirez was one of the people who's labeled as being, deceased there. And, in video, we do see a couple of people die there. And we do see a couple people getting ambulances that died at the hospital. But that's another scene from that night. So you can kind of go get an eye of what that looked like, what it looks like now. It looks the same. It hasn't changed at all. In fact, I had a friend who's got a timeshare there, man. He stays there once a year. He went over there one year and he was asking people, for me, he was asking people if they knew anything about what happened that night, if anybody had actually been there. And it's a timeshare. Nobody had been there. No one was there that night. What about the guy who him and his wife seen casings in a lot behind Tropicana? Oh, you're talking about what is his name? Shit. What is his name? He's a Hoover fan. He's one of the guys that's always in Hoover's chats. God, I can't remember because he lives in Southern California. He lives he lives by where I used to live. And Grant Pardone looking dude. I didn't think he looked like Grant Pardone, but I guess in a weird way, if he had color in his hair and if Grant wasn't gray haired. I can't remember his name anymore, dude. Man, that name is totally escaping me. Yeah, that guy, he's Joe Napoli. There you go. I don't know about that dude, man. I mean, he never said they were bullets. It's funny because he never said it's he never said they were bullets. He said little bronze pieces of metal, right? So he was insinuating that's what they were. But he never said that's what they were. But then nobody found them later. Like nobody could find those bullet casings. So it's like they couldn't even find crushed ones, in that lot. So it's like, what were you actually seeing, bro? I don't know. I don't know. When you're talking about a guy who believes in helicopters, I don't know how much to believe of that person, right? I mean, I'm not saying he wasn't there, that his story isn't legit. It's just, you're running for your life, dude, and you happen to like look down and see, hey, there's fucking brass casings on the ground. I guess, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think the last thing I'd be worried about is looking at what's on the floor. Me personally, I don't, yeah, but then again, I'll tell you this, man. And I mean, and I'm not being a blowhard about this. I'm not being, I'm the kind of guy that's fucking dumb enough that I would have sat there through that whole fucking thing. And, and I had friends that did the same damn thing, and I always thought about it. I'm like, dude, I'm that kind of fucking asshole that everybody would be talking shit about right now. Cause why is this guy just standing there? It's like, yeah, I would have been that fucking guy. Because yeah, I'm stupid like that. I'll do dumb shit like that. What was the story of the person shot in the head in Tropicana? I can't remember. Did they come from the concert? Tropicana shot in the head. I don't remember. I don't know which one you're talking about. Like, I don't know that story. Was that a Napoli story? Was that something he said? I mean, yeah, I don't know that story, dude. You know, I can't. You be the next, next, the yeah, I can't tell that story because I don't know it. You know, if there's body cam of cops going to the room. Oh, that one. Yeah, I don't know much about that, dude. I mean, he ran his ass over there and somehow got in there. Yeah, I don't know much about that one. I don't think anybody really did anything on that, dude. To be honest with you. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what floor that was. I don't think it was the first floor. I don't think there's rooms on the first floor. I could be wrong, but I don't think there is. I think that was, of course, in the towers there would be, but I don't think it was. I thought they had to go up stairs or something to get to that one. I don't know though. Those that hotel's got a weird layout. It always kind of was a strange layout once you get inside because it's got that 2-story gaming room inside, but it's also got escalators going up to the second floor and stuff. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I said nobody really, as far as I know, you know, and I could be wrong, but nobody really, you know, because it was seen as taboo to go after the victims. And so I think a lot of people avoided looking at the victims at all, except for Return to Logic. She was the only one that really dug into that shit. And if she don't have a video on that guy, then yeah, nobody does. And if she don't know about that guy, then probably nobody does. Because she was the one digging into all that. She was the only one with any balls to do that. And so, like, because it was seen as taboo to actually go after the victims and try to figure out what was going on with the victims, because it's seen as doxing and stuff. And a lot of people were real fucking mean and nasty about this stuff. Because when you have people that are saying nobody died, and then all of a sudden you have somebody running around, you know, saying, oh, you know, this is so-and-so, and saying their name and shit, and at the same time saying they're fake. Yeah, it causes issues, man. Yeah, it pisses a lot of people off. But, you know, I was doing that for a little bit, man. I was looking into, and I'll tell you, my purpose, you know, was because I wanted to find out what truly happened to, by the way, they still haven't even breached the door, right? You know, time perspective, they haven't breached the door yet. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but they breached at what, 11:10, right? Again, it's going off memory. But anyway, so I mean, God, dude, been talking this whole fucking time, dude, and they haven't breached the door yet, man. What the fuck are you guys doing up there? But my original plan, like, within all this, like, I remember having zero direction when I first started, like zero direction. And then one day, JB there sent me a message saying, "Hey, bro, you know what we need is we need somebody to debunk the fact that the windows are not, you know, we're not broken or whatever the fuck." So I was like, "Yeah, game on, dude. I'm down for that." So, you know, I went in and started looking. Because up to that point, all I was doing is I was looking at videos of the scene itself, right? Because I don't even think, I think we did have the preliminary report out at the time, but I don't think we had the final. But, you know, so, yeah, I was just watching the videos of what was happening at the concert. I wasn't really watching videos of what happened, you know, elsewhere. Wasn't watching cops. Didn't give a fuck what the cops were doing, dude. I just wanted to see what happened at the concert, right? I was looking for friends of mine, like trying to figure out like where they were and what they kind of had dealt with that night. And that was kind of my deal. And so, you know, yeah, you're right. It was definitely the Wild West the first 6 months or so. And you know, so like you said, I had no direction. And then at that point, you know, he told me that, and I'm like, okay, fucking game on, dude. So that's why, you know, I took an interest in the window, and that's when I started taking an interest inside the room, because then at that point, once the final report came out, we started getting pictures inside the room. I used to go back and forth with him, and I don't remember what we used to chat on, but I don't know. We had, there was a lot of things. Google had or YouTube had a chat back then, so I don't know if it was over that or what. But we go back and forth over what was in the room, and looking at things in the room, saying, "What is this? What is this? What is this?" Like everybody else did for the first, first bit of that, and that kind of got me into doing other things. So up to that point, I didn't care about any of that. And then, from there, just spider webbed into this stuff. And, one day, dude at work came up to me and he said, "Hey, I was telling him, I just said, yeah, I've been doing this YouTube thing, I've been doing it for a couple of years at that point, or a year at that point. I don't remember. But I'm like, yeah, so doing this YouTube thing, man, about the Las Vegas shooting and shit like that." And I was asking him, the reason I told him is because I was asking him, hey, I showed him a picture of the note. I go, "Do you know what this fucking means?" And so it was after the final report came out. And he couldn't tell me, but he is a big time gun guy. And which I was surprised, right? Because somebody else told me later. And he said, "No, but my friend was there and she got killed at that place." And I was like, "Oh shit, well, what's her name?" And Rocio Guyen, okay. And I looked her up, and I looked at the list of how people died. I go, "Well, here it is, man. She died of a gunshot wound to the leg." And he's like, "Oh, it must have hit the femoral artery then, man, because it's the only way you're going to die from that." I was like, "Yeah, looks like it." And then he said, "Well, if you come up with any information, let me know." So I went on a crusade, man, to find that shit, to find her, find something with her. I had a picture of her that she had sent him that day. So he showed me a picture of her and her husband. And so, yeah, I knew what she looked like. I knew what was going on. And eventually, it took a while, but eventually, yeah, I found her. And I found the entire pathing of her leaving the venue to the point where, she pretty much died. It's like she made it out. She made it to the command center, I think it was, over there across the street, where there was an ambulance. I don't think the ambulance thought her wound was that big of a fucking deal because it was a leg shot, but ended up killing her. So then at that point, I'm like, the Melissa Ramirez thing started blowing up. And I'm like, I don't think that. So the deal is, like, there's no evidence other than, trust me, bro, that Melissa Ramirez was the one that died in that parking lot. And I mean, to me, I was kind of like, I've seen pictures of her. Whoever was being dragged across that parking lot did not look like her at all, to me. So, I was trying to figure out, okay, well, what happened here, right? So I started going into videos on victims, right? And I started looking at all these people. And I used to have and I threw all this shit out a while back, but I used to have folders with every single, 58 folders, right? And, in those folders, I had all the pictures I could collect off the internet of these people. And then I was trying to match the autopsies to the person. And the first, 20 or so are easy. And then when you start getting into the little more complicated ones where people don't talk about the clothes they were wearing, they don't talk about, there's not a lot of information in the autopsies other than, oh, yeah, suspect died of suspect is a blonde male, died of a bullet wound to the fucking head or something like that. And you're like, well, what the fuck does that mean? Like, who the fuck is this? So there were all kinds of fucking issues with that. It gets complicated, it gets tricky. So I was trying to figure all that stuff out, and I was working on that at one point. But, within that time doing that, things got very heavy, right? Because you go through and you start looking for photos of these people. You start looking for anything you can find on these people. And next thing you know, you're looking at obituaries. You're looking at Facebook, you're looking at posts of their friends saying, you know, we miss you, oh, we love you, and all this sort of shit. Oh shit. Who's messaging me? So, you know, you had all kinds of heavy shit going on, right? And that kind of burned me out. That like burned me out big time. And they still haven't breached the damn door. Damn it. Why you gotta do that right now, man? Why you guys gotta be texting me right now? You know, but that shit got really heavy. And so, you know, it burns you out really quick. And I'm like, I don't want to do this shit anymore. And that was about the time Hunter came along and we started bullshitting and then he passed away. And then we passed away. I kind of was like, well, I want to carry the torch a little bit longer. But, you know, eventually that burned me out too, because I'm not him. I don't have the conspiracy mind. And I'm like, what am I adding to this? You know, unless I got some new information, what am I adding to this? You know, all I'm doing is I'm debunking shit, you know. It's not very fun. It's not always the most exciting thing in the world. And all this stuff about the victims, I can't share that. You know, I could sit here and I can make a video of, you know, especially with Rocio, because that was the one I concentrated on the most. I can make a video showing, you know, her route as far as we know it, you know, through multiple police body cams. But why am I going to post that up? That's fucked up. That's bullshit, man. I mean, if her kids ever see that, you know, that would suck. And yeah, I don't want to do that. So, you know, I just let that go. But, you know, there are other people, like while I was in the process of that, there's a lot of information out there as far as, you know, certain people. You know, there's this problem we had with Vegas, and we still have, where things become doctrine. And so, like, I don't know if that's a proper word for that, but, you know, so somebody says something, everybody fucking believes it, but there's no evidence to prove it. And yet it becomes the common theme. And that is an issue, right? Because that fucks people up. That's what fucked me up originally. That's why I said the original time I got trashed in my comments was KL, because she was absolutely right. I was completely wrong on that. And I was wrong because I followed Jake Morphonios. Well, Jake Morphonios had set a path where I believed what he said was correct. I believe he did his, you know, due diligence. He did his stuff. And, you know, because he was wrong, all of a sudden I'm wrong. And how many other people were wrong because of that? You know, it just becomes, you know, that kind of thing. So, God, I forget where I was going with that before I went off on that tangent. But that's one of those things you got to battle while you're doing all this sort of stuff. So, you know, the Melissa Ramirez thing, I was kind of like puzzled by that. And so I started doing this thing where I got all 58 people, and I got 58 different, folders together, and started trying to figure out, okay, who's who, who's what. Can I match autopsies to each of these fucking people? What videos can I find these people in? And so you started finding, you know, like, I said, the one that I remember the most, it always kind of fucks me up in the head, because this person probably could have lived, but they didn't because of the inaction of, paramedics that night. And for the powers that be, whoever it was that decided they could not get closer to the venue, was, I can't remember her name. I don't know her name. I don't remember it at all. But she's a heavyset blonde lady. And as she was getting into an ambulance with another person that I was looking into, which I believe was Michelle Vo, if I remember. Oh, that's where I was going with that, right? So the doctrine was for a long time that the original report was wrong as far as where the bodies were, or which bodies were on the field that were left there. And one of them, I believe, I can't remember her name, but everybody said it was Michelle Vo, and that it was wrong. Somebody told me this, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think you're right, bro. And they're arguing with me, and I really respect that person. So I was like, you're wrong on this shit. So even the most diligent people within this community get shit wrong from time to time. Hunter got shit wrong from time to time, and yeah, there's a big blowout on that. But with this, and I love the guy, dude. I absolutely love the guy, dude. But yeah, he at one point, he did get something wrong, and it really kind of bothered him that he got it wrong. And and that's how me and him became friends, to be honest. But that's a different story. So, I went on this track and I found Michelle Vo. I believe it's Michelle Vo, if I remember right. This is all going off memory. And there's a couple girls that were kind of, the little skinny girls. And I found her 100%. That's her. She's an ambulance. She's sitting in the back of an ambulance. That is 100%. And like I said, I could be getting the names mixed up, but that's 100% that girl. I know it's her. I got pictures of her at the concert that day, sitting in front of the Route 91 sign and all that bullshit. She's wearing the exact same clothes. Those clothes are completely different than anything else out there, man. It's like it was pretty obvious who it was. And I'm like, okay, so this person in this ambulance died. There's another lady gets in that ambulance. It's like I said, a bigger, heavy-set blonde lady gets in that ambulance and is telling somebody who's with her, saying, I'm having a hard time taking a breath. And they get her in the ambulance. And as I was looking through all of my, all the autopsies, I found the exact clothes that person was wearing, right? I believe it was like a blue top and like white shorts or something like that. I think that's what it was. And I'm like, yeah, that's what this lady is wearing, right? So there's an autopsy of the person wearing the exact same outfit that fits the exact same build, that has the exact same hair color, that was shot in the back, and that bullet went through her lung. And I'm like, okay, so I think I found that person, and again, it's one of those things where, there's kind of evidence, right? It's evidence to prove that this shit really happened, that this person's really dead. We got it on camera, right? And but it's one of those things you don't want to share, right? Like, you don't want to come out with a video saying, yeah, I know this person, she died, and I know that this person died, I know this is her, this is how I can prove it, blah blah blah. Because that's pretty fucked up. Like, that's insensitive as shit, dude. I mean, if her kids someday roll across your video for some weird ass reason, someday, somebody decides to use your bullshit in their video, and steal a part of your video because they don't want to do the homework themselves, and they roll it out in their video, and all of a sudden their kids have to see their mother right before she dies. Fuck that, man. I'm not gonna be that guy. I don't want to be that guy. So most of the stuff that I was doing for a long time is like, it was fucking pointless. It was pointless for YouTube. It was just for my personal curiosity, right? I guess, for lack of a better term. But realistically, it was Melissa Ramirez was just a part of it. The other part was one of my friends was up in the bleachers, and they laid a girl down next to her, and she swears up and down that girl was dead. She swears by it. And when you look at the report, there's nobody near that area that died. And so she asked me one day, like, because, and I think it was kind of a fuck you to me. I think it was kind of, oh, you think you know everything about Vegas? Okay, well, who was that person that was, sitting next to me? So I went on this this hunt to try and figure out who that was. And never have, dude. Never have. And we got video of that person being carried up in the bleachers. I mean, it's a video that's been out since the beginning. And there's not a single person on YouTube. There's a couple people have told me, oh, I can tell you who that is. Yeah, who is it? Oh, I'll have to get back to you on that. No, you're not going to get back to me because you have no idea. Nobody fucking knows. So that's what I was trying to figure out. Like, if I could figure out who that person was, if I could match all 58 people to the autopsies which was I probably could have done in the end. I think I was kind of close, but there's still some very problematic ones. But if I could have matched everybody up, and then at some point, maybe I could have figured out who that was, through process of elimination. But yeah, it just wasn't happening. And that's what I wasted a lot of time on, or I spent a lot of time on. I don't know if waste is probably not a good term for that, but spent a lot of time doing that. Spent a shit ton of time doing that. I mean, sitting there with 58 folders, fucking lay it out on the on your living room floor, just like going through this shit and trying to find pictures and trying to find, trying to match autopsies and then trying to match videos and then seeing somebody in a video and saying, is that her? Is that which is most problematic, if you don't mind? Well, okay, so what I mean by problematic is, right, you can go, okay, so you can go into the autopsies, right? You can read the autopsies, and I'm not going to pull them up right now. I probably could, but I just don't want to do it. And I'm sorry, I'm being lazy. I just want to talk. So, you go into the autopsies, and you'll have an autopsy where the person, it'll say like a white male came in naked and with a bullet to their chest. Well, who the fuck is that? How are you going to figure that one out? Like, you're just not. It's very problematic. No, it's just hard because some coroners, like there were a bunch of different coroners that did these reports, and some of them were very thorough and very, precise. They would show like all the, every scar on their body would be in this report. And then some of them are just, one paragraph, well, a couple paragraphs, and they're very simple, so some of these people doing the autopsy seemed like they just didn't really give a shit. And then some people went meticulously through everything. And so that's where you have the issues, right? When you get to those ones that are like, look like lazy shit. And, some, just like I said, naked male, gunshot wound to the back and died of gunshot wound to the back. And you're like, what the fuck, dude? Like, yeah, there's no way to figure out who the hell that is, especially when they're not like, they may give you the height and the weight and all that. And it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, it's like an average fucking dude, average dude's height and weight, right? But like some of them, they won't give you the hair color. Some of them, they won't tell you what clothes they were wearing. Some of them were naked when they when they got there. Probably because they had their clothes cut off in the hospital. So, that's your thing, right? Like, you look at they say they got a naked body, right? Now, there's really only one option for that, because chances are, they weren't stripped down naked at the venue, right? So they're not a body that was sitting at the venue. You're talking about a body that got to the hospital, was possibly alive when they were at the hospital. The hospital's trying to save them, cut all their clothes off, maybe put a gown on them, maybe didn't have time to do that. And that's why the body's naked. But generally, they'll say, bag clothes are this and that and this and that. Well, if it's bag clothes, then yeah, okay. We can tell what clothes they were wearing that night. But sometimes they don't have any. There's like nothing, and you're just like, I got nothing to go on, dude. I got a dude that was shot twice. That's 5'8", 140 pounds or 135 pounds or something like that. And you're like, well, that's too skinny, but yeah, 160 pounds or 175 pounds, whatever it happens to be. And you're looking at it, you're like, dude, I don't know who this is. I have no idea who this is. Like, they don't give you ages. They don't give you anything. They'll just say straight up, just, yeah, this dude got shot a couple times. Have fun with this, and you're just like, yeah, that's not helpful. So then you got to go through process of elimination. And again, you can do that a little bit because you can kind of look at, okay, so who died in the hospital versus who didn't die in the hospital. But now you got to say that I'm agreeing that the report is correct as far as who died in the hospital and who didn't die in the hospital. And so now you're dealing with that issue where some people don't believe that report is even correct. So fuck me, it's just a pain in the ass. It was a total pain in the ass. And if they were all done, meticulously, like, some of the better ones in there, then you probably would have had a good, easier time doing it. Where they talk about scars, and they talk about tattoos, and they talk about, all that stuff, the clothes they're wearing, the color of their hair, the color of their eyes, all that shit. Then you can kind of get an idea what's going on there, but or who it is, by looking at pictures of them, but you look at like girls and the women, some of the women don't even have the same hair color, because women dye their hair all the time, and at least back then you didn't have the purples and the pinks and shit like that like you do nowadays, but which was just basically told you what who they voted for. But in reality back then, you have blondes and browns, and some wouldn't even say that. Someone would just say dark hair. They had dark hair. Okay, what the fuck does that mean? Like, what color hair are we talking about? Shit like that. So that was very problematic, man. It was tough. Okay, so sorry, I'm going off on a tangent here. Okay, so it could be one of 5 possible men unaccounted, but to say or to be sure and say it's Joe Smith, that's kind of problematic. Make a hospital closed venue. Never thought about that. Do you know how many were recovered or left at venue compared to ambulance hospital? Well, okay, so in order to find that out, you could look at the preliminary report. The preliminary report had what people call unaffectionately the death map, right? The map of, by the way, they just breached the fucking room as far as timeline goes. You see that? We don't know how many people the coroner picked up, like, off the street and all that sort of stuff, but we do. Well, I take it back. We don't know how many picked up from hospitals. Well, yeah, we kind of know that too. So, like, what you have to do is you go into the map of no, you're cool, dude. I'm glad you're asking questions because you're giving me something to talk about. Otherwise, I'd be just sitting here just rambling about random shit. So in the preliminary report, there's a map, and the map has where the bodies were found at the venue, around the venue, in the immediate area around the venue. And then I believe they may have had which hospitals people died in as well. I think it did. So you kind of had an idea, And then the other thing is this too, right? So now, well, there was, obviously the venue. There was the Desert Rose Apartments, I believe is the name of the apartment complex over there, where 3 people died. There's, the Melissa Ramirez, for lack of a better term, area, where that was never designated as a crime scene. There's also the body that was at the what do you call it, the intersection there where the triage was going for the fire department, where it set triage on Las Vegas Boulevard and I don't know what street that is. It's not Tropicana, I don't think. I don't know what that cross street is right there. But yeah, the fire department was there at the intersection, and there was a body there. That was Brian Frazier, which was another story that I heard his story about what happened to him. But so his body supposedly, and we only know this because of Howie. Howie didn't even know what he was talking about when he said this, but it made sense once he said it to anybody who kind of was paying attention. He said that he cleaned a pool one day for a guy who was driving an ambulance. The weirdest thing he said he ever saw was he picked up a guy in a wheelbarrow, a dead body in a wheelbarrow over at the I believe it was the Luxor, the night of October 1st, right? And so, the one body that we know was in a wheelbarrow was Brian Frazier. Yeah, I think it was Brian Frazier. Yeah, Brian Frazier. I keep wanting to say Brendan Fraser, dude, and that's the actor. But no, Brian Fraser, who we do see getting mocked by various, shady individuals on YouTube and on other platforms. But he's the guy in the wheelbarrow that they were doing, trying to do CPR in a wheelbarrow, which is really not very intelligent. But somehow they must have got him over to the Luxor. We don't see that. All we see is him in the parking lot across the street from the venue, right outside the venue. And, and so somehow he ended up at the Luxor. This ambulance went and picked him up at the Luxor. They dropped him off at the intersection where the fire department was, probably because they knew they couldn't help him. So they just left him with the fire department there. And so his body is sitting there with the fire department over there in the map. So you do have that map. So you have a pretty good idea of like who died there. Right. So a lot of that you can kind of line up pretty well. But again, when you're talking about a coroner's report, they're not saying where they died. All they're saying is what they were wearing. Generally, sometimes they're saying what they were wearing. Most of the time they're saying what they were wearing, but not always. And when you're talking about 58, what I mean is like 20 of them may have no clothes on the fucking thing. I think it was more like 12 or something. But, and even the clothes don't always help, right? Because you don't have pictures of these people at the event all the time. So which is why you got to watch videos. You got to see if you can spot the person in the videos, which becomes problematic. It's a lot of fucking work, dude. It's a fuck ton of work, right? So you can sit here and say, okay, well, we have a pretty good idea who died in the venue. We have a pretty good idea of who died at the hospitals. Now, what does that mean? That means that in the autopsy report, all the naked people are going to be the people that died in hospitals. And chances are they had a hospital gown. Sometimes they will have hospital gowns on them also. The people that died in the venue, and I believe it was, I can't remember 15 of them or something died inside and around the venue or something. I believe it was something like that, right? So it's a small percentage. And if I remember right, I don't know. I'd have to go count again. It might have been 18. But, so you have a small percentage that died in the venue as opposed to died at the hospital later. But so, as you're looking through the autopsies, okay, well, that's one piece of information, right? If you got somebody that's naked, somebody has a hospital gown on, somebody who has IVs in their hand doesn't necessarily mean that they made it to the hospital. It just means they made it into an ambulance. They stuck an IV in them. Doesn't mean they made it all the way there. So you don't know from that. But you also have that as evidence, right? IV marks in their arms or came with an IV needle in them still. That is on a couple of the autopsies. So you got to do all this figuring out, okay, well, like Charleston Hartfield, right? Someone said they saw him in a video. I never saw him in a fucking video. I have no idea what that video is. Nobody's ever explained it to me or shown it to me. So I don't know where that video is at. But, it was obvious, who, which one was Charleston Hartfield. That autopsy was pretty obvious. The Melissa Ramirez autopsy is pretty obvious. That's why we know, how she died, that she was shot at an upward angle and it went through the lung. Now, I do talk a lot of shit about that because, I don't believe the whole magic bullet theory of the bullet bounced on the ground and fucking came up and hit her in the fucking chest. I don't believe that. I think that most likely she was inside the venue when she was shot, and she probably was bent down with her ass up to the Mandalay Bay, and then the dude fucking just, got around straight down into her and went up through a lung, lodged behind one of her shoulders, if I remember right, and stayed there. And then she must have been able to run out, took off, hauled ass, got to a certain point, ran out of gas, and collapsed. And these two dudes dragged her over to that parking space, if indeed that's her. Yeah, see, I'm not again, I'm not really into like conspiracies and stuff like that. So to say that anybody was shot from any other place, to me, it just, I don't think like that. So, I mean, it's possible. It's completely possible. Anything's possible. Aliens is possible. So, helicopters is possible, I guess. But realistically, that's just not my lane. I was just trying to figure out, what I could. I had a friend, my one friend, he was shot twice. And that son of a bitch is not even a big guy. He's not a tough guy, just regular dude, man. Really nice dude, actually. He's a really nice guy. He was shot laying on top of his wife. So when his friend got hit and his friend looked down and said, holy shit, I'm bleeding. All these guys in that group all of a sudden realized what was happening, and they all jumped on their wives. They all just jumped on top of their wives. He was shot twice. And he said he felt the first one go in. He doesn't remember the second one. But he said he felt the first one hit him. And he said his wife even remembers it hitting him. And so he went through his lung, fucked him up inside, man. Fucked him up. And I mean, he went through a lot of shit after that to survive. He was almost 59, man. He got really close. And but it went through his lung, dude. He ran all the way to the intersection. I can't remember which intersection I was because I can picture it in my head, but I can't tell you offhand. But right there next to the venue. He ran over the intersection. Someone dumped him in the back of a pickup truck, and they drove him to the hospital. I have not been able to find video of that yet because he claims that he was hanging off the back of the pickup truck and his wife was holding him into the pickup truck the whole time. But he was saying, he's like, yeah, dude, he's like, we're sitting there being shot at. So I think it was about the third volley. And I told my wife, like, I've been hit and either we run or we die. And so they just started running, started booking it. And he said he got to that intersection and he collapsed, like completely collapsed. He said, I just ran out of gas, dude. I had nothing left. I couldn't fucking do anything. So I just passed out. And, he didn't go unconscious, but yeah, he just didn't have any energy left. And, they propped him up against his car. He said that he was sitting next to the exhaust pipe and he was telling me, he's like, the whole time I'm thinking, I survived a gunshot wound just to die from exhaust now. And eventually they put him up in that truck and they drove to the hospital. So that was his story. But, he got pretty far with the freaking lung filling up with fluid. That's crazy. They try to retrieve bullets and caliber and which gun it came from or which volley came from, etc. We don't know. We've never had true ballistics. So we don't know. We don't know what the FBI did. As far as he goes, he was telling me when he woke up in the hospital after, he was up the whole time. I take it back. But after they were done doing their dirty shit to him, because he said that it was pretty fucking intense what they did to him, and to clear out his lungs and stuff. He was saying that he asked for the bullet. He wanted the bullet because he wanted to keep it, and they told him no, the FBI took it, and they weren't allowed to keep him. So he was a little pissed off about that. He's definitely still kind of pissed off about that. But the FBI did take all those, right? They took all the bullets. We have that. We actually have that in the, in the PDFs or whatever you want to call them, the statements, right? So, the cops were running around collecting all the bullets for the FBI from the victims. And so, they took all the bullets. So obviously they did run ballistics, but they just haven't shared them. They just haven't felt like sharing those. And, a lot of times, like if you want to watch a good video about this stuff, and it's kind of fucked up, but there's a channel out there called Angry Cops, and he did a video where he was talking about the girl that died at the Cecil Hotel out here in LA. I can't remember her name anymore. Lisa Lam. Lisa Lam. And he was talking about the Lisa Lam thing, but what the video was about was it's titled something like Internet Sleuths versus Lisa Lam investigation. And he broke down a lot of why police don't, police departments and FBI and stuff like that don't release information to the public. And it was pretty informative. And he admitted, he's like, yeah, of course, this leads to conspiracy theories. He's like, but, he said for this investigation, he's like, we released this footage, or the police department released this footage, and they didn't release the rest of it. And everyone's saying, well, there's a cover up because they didn't release the rest of it. He's like, no, the reason they didn't release the rest of it, because he wasn't part of that department. But he said the reason they didn't release the rest of it is because fuck you. You don't need to know that. All you need to know is this, because we're trying to figure out, if anyone knows who the fuck this is and where she went, because we were looking for her at the time. So we wanted to show you what she was wearing when she disappeared. And that's why we showed you the video. They showed you the video of her in the elevator because that was the last place she was seen. And he's like, other than that, fuck you. You don't need to know any of it. And so I was kind of like, yeah, it's pretty brutal. And that's why conspiracies start, lack of information. You fill a void with imagination. And, but he did break it down as far as whether you agree with it or not. That's what he did. And even if you don't agree with it, I mean, it gives you a perspective into what their thought process is, because he is a cop, and that's kind of his shtick. He's a drill instructor for, I don't know, fucking Marine Corps or some shit. And he's also, I think, the Army actually, and he's a cop. So he's a funny ass dude. He cracks jokes the whole fucking time, but he basically talks shit about people on the internet that are kind of second guessing a lot of these things. And the Lisa Lam one it's an easy target. He did another one afterwards. It wasn't as good as the Lisa Lam one. Because part 2 was kind of shit, but the first one was good. And the Lisa Lam one, let me see if I can find it real quick, because I think that's actually a really good one to watch. Yeah. Okay. Real quick here, I'll just show you the beginning of this, because I don't know, man. I mean, I know most people, as far as this, are not going to like this sort of content, but straight up, dude, I mean, he does go through, like I said, whether you like it or not, he goes through exactly what the mind frame is of them.
About some sort of criminal investigation, and it really piqued fancy. They bring all these experts and witnesses in, and even police officers involved in the investigation, just to paint a picture of how complicated the entire thing was. And the one thing,
I don't know why that's skipping so bad, but it is,
that completely jacks it all up are internet sleuths. The true crimers.
Okay. So anyway, you get the idea. I'm gonna post a link in here just in case anybody wants to check that out. Whoops. Damn it. If I can actually get the link here. So that's a link to his video, the one that I was just watching. And whoops, I'm on the wrong. I've got a couple different systems here, so I'm on the wrong computer here. But yeah, so I'll be honest, man, I got a kick out of watching that. But just because I like the guy, I think he's fucking hilarious. But that video, it made a lot of sense to me as far as why the police and the authorities and stuff like that don't share anything, right? They don't feel they need to, right? They have this mentality that they don't need to share shit with you. Who the fuck are you? You're nobody, and you're not going to help things. You're going to probably make it worse. And so we're not going to share you shit, because we're the professionals. We're the trained people that can do it. And the argument to it, and I would love to argue with this guy about this, but the argument to that is if you go online and you look up crimes 4chan has solved, especially cold cases. You look at cold cases that 4chan has solved. You realize that, like, yeah, the internet has actually solved shit that the police were incapable of solving. And so there is an argument to this video. So I'm not saying that you have to agree with what he's saying. I'm just saying it is a good look into the mind frame of a cop as far as what's going on online versus, what they decide to do with evidence and how they decide to release it. And so, I felt the FBI is pretty much the same way. The FBI is a lot of, fuck you, there's nothing you can do about it. So, we don't have to give you shit. And, and that's the way it feels when you do a FOIA, man. You do a FOIA, man, they give you some letter back, and, it's usually a big middle finger, on a piece of paper written out really nicely. A couple, maybe 3 paragraphs of middle fingers. And, and that's pretty much what you get. And it's frustrating as shit. It's very frustrating. But at the same time, it's like, I understand they just don't want to share shit. Like, they just don't, And they're the investigators. You're nobody. Who the fuck you think you are asking for this? We're the ones with all the information, and it's going to stay that way. So I don't agree with it. Obviously. I mean, I got all the FOIAs in the world. I got a million fucking FOIAs I've fucking filled out at this point, and I keep getting these rejection letters, big middle finger. But, and then you end up arguing with them and you still lose because in the end, they're just like, yeah, no, we're just not going to. At first they start with, no, we're not going to give this to you because it violates privacy, blah, 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 all this stuff. And you're like, well, how can it violate privacy when, in the final report, it's got this person in there and it's got part of their statement. I just want the rest of the statement. Oh, no, you're not getting it because of privacy violation. Dude, and then you send them a letter and you get a letter from a real fucking person back saying, yeah, dude, we're just not going to give it to you. So, and it basically they'll say, yeah, due to privacy violations, yeah, we're just not giving that to you. So you can stop asking because this is the last letter we're going to write about this. And it's like, what do you do? What the fuck do you do? The FBI just don't, it's just the way they operate. But this guy does go into a little bit of some of the reasons why they don't from time to time, why they don't offer certain information up, freely. And, some of it does make sense, especially when they're talking about, there's an investigation. So for instance, the investigation into Hague, right? They didn't want to talk. They probably didn't want to do ballistics originally because they didn't want to spook Hague, right? In case some of those bullets were actually used, that they were going to go after Hague with, right? So they can't give you ballistics originally, in the early days because, they got to go after him and they got to figure out which bullets were actually fired by him. And they don't want to go out and say, oh, yeah, it's a Paddock guy who you sold a bunch of bullets to, fired a bunch of rounds that you sold him, get ready to run, brother. Start heading for the border now, man, because we're after you. So, instead, they just don't fucking deliver any of that shit and they don't say anything about it. Next thing you know, they're knocking on his fucking door and he's getting arrested. So I get stuff like that. I understand stuff like that. But a lot of it, like I said, it leads to conspiracies. And I think even this guy explains that. He says, yeah, this all leads to conspiracies because people fill in the void that is left through fact with their imagination. And that leads to conspiracies. By the way, they breached the door at this point. They had breached the second door at this point. Yeah. Yeah, Mary Lou's a different weird one, man. Because, she loaded her when your fingerprints are on the bullets and your fingerprints are on the magazines, you would think you'd be in a little bit of trouble. But now that you see, okay, so in the old days, that didn't make sense to me, right? Like what you just said, like that's weird, right? Why is Mary Lou not in jail, right? She helped load the magazines. That's fucking weird, man. Like, why is she not in jail? But then you look at what's going on now in society. Like, dude, they don't put people in jail. Well, like, you can't go after gun manufacturers, man. I mean, you talking about the person who assembled everything on those guns? I mean, he might have assembled everything himself. He wasn't a stupid guy. Haig made only some of the bullets. The rest of them he bought, right? Because you can see the boxes for the bullets sitting in the trash can. So he bought it. He bought those rounds. A lot of the ones that he was shooting out the thing. But yeah, so you think about it, like, back then I was in the same ballpark, dude. Like, why is she not in fucking prison, dude? Like, as an accomplice? Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand that at all, dude. That's bullshit, man. Like, at least there should be, she should have had her day in court. Let's put it that way, right? She shouldn't be in prison. She should have her day in court. I would think would be a part of that, right? If your fingers are on bullets that shot people, maybe he didn't use the clips that she loaded. Maybe that's the case. I don't fucking know. We don't have all the information. I don't fucking know. There were so many clips in there, the 60 round clips or whatever, 35 round clips that he didn't use. So maybe she loaded those. Who knows? I don't have a clue, because we don't have enough information. But you would think, like, they would have a little bit more to ask her than just, bringing her in for a couple hours, writing down a statement and letting her fucking go. You would think there'd be a little bit more than that, You think they'd be a little more, what do you call it? I can't even think of the word right now. But you think they'd be a little more interested in her than just that. And so, but you look at the way the FBI has acted the last couple of years, and it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me at all, dude. The FBI, I mean, when they say, like, when some kid shoots up a school or a church or whatever the case may be, and the FBI is like, oh, yeah, we knew about them the last 5 years. Why did you fucking arrest the person? Obviously, yeah, I mean, that would have been a good fucking idea, right? But they don't. So I don't know what's going on there. Yeah. She voluntarily came back, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, so, like, there's things like that it's puzzling. But my outlook on the FBI in 2017 is completely different than my outlook on the FBI in 2025. Even with Kash Patel in charge, it's still completely fucking different. It's still fucked up to me. I'm not, I mean, and I think Kash Patel's like a huge difference from who was it before that? Was it Comey or was it Brennan? I don't know, one of those guys. But I think it's Comey, right? Isn't that the guy that is on trial right now and shit? But they fucking went after the but, like, because normally I don't really care about things like that, but you want to think that the FBI is a good organization that's out there to protect the people of the United States of America, for which they serve, and the Constitution under which they serve and swear to protect. But then you find out about, like, how they were trying to undermine a presidency, and you're like, yeah, dude, you're kind of going against the Constitution at that point, right? And then you find out just dumb shit that these people are doing. You find all the people that were at Jan 6. What are they doing at January 6, man? Were they the ones breaking the windows and doing all that shit? Why weren't they stopping it? Like, if you had a bunch of agents there, like you had 275 people there, that's a big number of people. And I mean, it only takes 2 to stand in front of a window and say, no, you're not going in. I mean, it doesn't take much, right? And if you're an agent of the government and you're sworn to protect the government, why didn't you do it that day? It doesn't make a lot of sense. So to me, it's like my outlook on the FBI is completely different than what it was originally. So I used to sit here and say, "Oh, you're fucking crazy. The government had nothing to do with this, Vegas stuff. There's just no fucking way. It's not possible, dude. It's stupid. That's a dumb idea." And now I'm in the mind frame where I'm like, yeah, it's fucking possible. It's very well fucking possible. I mean, if, at the very least, if cover up, maybe, yeah, it's possible. Totally possible. Absolutely fucking possible. Whereas, like I said, 2017, I would tell you, no, you fucking nuts, dude. That didn't happen. Like, FBI doesn't work like that. That's not how it works. But, like I said, when you see a bunch of feds walking down the street dressed as white supremacists down your fucking street, kind of brings things kind of makes things real and kind of fucks it up a little bit, So, at that point, it's like, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what to believe anymore. It's fucking crazy. Because my whole worldview on this is completely broken. Anyway, brother, I think I'm going to get out of here. It's almost fucking midnight. And I've been on here for 2 hours and 45 minutes, man. It's way longer than I planned on being on here. I mean, unless anyone's got any questions or anything, wants to talk or something, I'm running out of things to mumble on about. But yeah, go watch that video from that Angry Cops, man, if you're interested. Like I said, you may not like what he has to say. I don't like everything he's got to say, but I do think he's fucking hilarious. I may not agree with everything he's saying, but I think he's funny as shit. But to be honest with you, to me, it's just nice to see the other side of things and to see, what that perspective is like. And he definitely has that other perspective. He definitely ain't on the internet sleuthing, he calls it, team at all. He's definitely against it. And so it's cool to have the other perspective on that and kind of get the mind frame on that. But yeah, with that, I think I'm out of here. I made it through the night. Like I said, I didn't know what I was going to do tonight as far as this stuff goes, but I guess just rambling works and ranting. I may leave this up for a day or two. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But with that, I'm going to run the outro, and I'm going to get the hell out of here. Talk to you guys later.
Dude, pointed stick.
Pointed stick. Pointed stick.
Pointed stick.
Pointed stick.
Pointed stick?
Pointed stick.
Whoa, pointed stick.
That pointed stick.
Pointed stick.
Stick. We don't have any time for your trolling behavior on this channel. It just isn't welcome here. And so, good riddance to you.